Hello, good morning, and welcome to Morning Brew. Sorry about the delay there. I'm Graham Hughes. You're watching Politics Social. It is Thursday, the 8th of January, 2026. Well done on making it this far. In the chat, we have Chris C. and Gallifreyan Wren, and Diz is in there as well. And Martin Harrow, we've got Liz, we've got Francis Winrow, we've got Sarah Davis, we've got Veg Pie, we've got Saz. Hello, one, hello, all. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat there, all you need to do is hit the little, give us a like to start with, but then hit the subscribe button and wait for approximately 1 minute and you'll be able to join the chat, but don't be a troll. And when I say don't be a troll, I don't just mean having a go about, being a bigot, right? Because that's bad enough. We'll kick you for that. But please be respectful to the other people in the chat. Don't call people in the chat names. Don't call me names. Don't call other people on the channel names. Because if you do, we'll mute you and boot you, because that's not the environment that we want here. If you want somewhere to go to call people names, fuck off to Twitter, okay? You twat. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about America's future. Someone asked a really interesting question the other day. They asked a MAGA Republican what they thought America would look like in 15 years' time. What was their dream? What was their aspiration for, what America would be in 2040? And the response was horrific and as predictable. But it was no immigrants, secure borders, secure borders, secure borders, no immigrants, no immigrants. Got to get rid of all the immigrants and all the immigrants. It's like, okay. Let's pretend that we've put a big wall around America. No one can get in, no one can get out. What do you want America to look like? And they didn't have an answer. I think this is really interesting and worth exploring. So, what happened last night in Minneapolis was just absolutely horrific. An ICE immigration raid operation took place, and a 37-year-old woman was shot dead by ICE agents. The encounter occurred during the immigration enforcement action, not a violent crime in process. And don't forget, even if someone is in America illegally, that's not a criminal offence. That's a civil offence. They've outstayed their visa, or they've, didn't have any documentation when they came in. It's not technically a criminal offence. It's a civil offence or misdemeanor. The encounter occurred last night, and video footage shows agents approaching a stationary vehicle and firing as it attempted to move away. And obviously Trump's lot jumped in straight away and said, "Oh no, she was the woman driving, the 37-year-old driving. She was trying to drive over the MAGA, the ICE people. She wasn't. There's footage, clear footage of them just shooting her because she's trying to drive away." And they, so the federal authorities, they immediately described this killing as self-defense and labeled the incident terrorism. City officials, the mayor, told ICE to get the fuck out of their city. Not mincing her words there. We've got eyewitnesses and state leaders who have publicly disputed the account that the feds have given, because it's the ultimate thing, isn't it? Ignore the evidence of your own eyes and ears. This is video footage that was uploaded almost immediately after the incident happened, which clearly show that the ICE agents were in no danger whatsoever. Protests and vigils began within hours yesterday in America. Schools have been closed because of safety concerns, and federal agents have remained deployed, and the operations continue. They said they're going to continue operating in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, when people have said the state elected representatives have said, "We don't want you here. We don't need you here. Your presence is not wanted. It's not necessary." And yet they're still there. And the president, Trump, has endorsed the federal narrative before any investigation has even started, never mind concluded. And this is the present day reality of state power in America. This is the power that Trump has on a federal level against these states, and I can't see them putting up with it much longer, because why would you? Why would you when you're not getting any benefits at all? These blue states give more to the federal budget than they get in returns. So What are they getting out of this fucking thing? A nightmare as a president? And I want to talk about this as well because there's there's two groups. I've got to find the names. Sorry, I should have had this already, but I realised in my notes it hasn't got the names. So there is okay. So there's two groups, right? There's one called the United States Semi-Quincentennial Commission, which is half of 500 years. It's a bit of a weird way of saying it, but that's apparently how you say it. It's the 250th anniversary of the founding of America on July the 4th, 1776. It's the 250th anniversary this year, right? So there's two groups. There is one that was set up nearly 10 years ago by Congress, which is bipartisan. And it's it's non-partisan actually, and it's a congressionally established organization. It's supported by the non-profit organization America250.org Inc. And works with the state. It works with local and private partners to coordinate the nationwide commemorations. It's been planned for years. However, Trump has something called Task Force 250. Okay, so not America, Task Force. And this is an executive branch entity established via an executive order to coordinate federal government involvement. And this is kind of crazy, right? The White House is trying to brand this as a historic moment of national greatness. Trump is overseeing key elements, and they plan to put flags on every fucking lamppost, on every building, on every whatever. They're going to make a big arch for some reason. There's going to be an arch because arches are cool. It's what fucking Turkmenbashi, the dictator of Turkmenistan. It's what he's got, the arch of neutrality. So they're going to do one of them. Great, yeah, an arch. Let's do an arch. Trump wants to also do the Arc de Trump off. Like a mockery of the Arc de Triomphe in France. And whereas America 250 has done things like getting children to write stories, collecting experiences of thousands of people and their story of how they came to America and what their ancestors did, and putting all that together, Trump is having a UFC brawl on the White House lawn. Yeah, that's how he thinks the most fitting way to celebrate the last 250 years of America. A UFC brawl on the White House fucking lawn. I mean, that might be a good way to celebrate the next 250 years of America, but not the last. I guess this is the inflection point, isn't it? This is how America wants to remember itself, a UFC brawl. Oh, and that's not all, though. He's actually instituting the Hunger Games as well. He's calling it the Patriot Games, and it's going to involve volunteers from each of the states to compete in some kind of athletic tournament, possibly also on the White House lawn. I don't know. And under Trump's leadership, there's going to be mass rallies. There's going to be these fucking sporting spectacles. There's going to be monuments, statues, bullshit. But also, history is being rewritten to emphasize greatness and minimize, injustice, slavery, dissent, bigotry, cruelty, apartheid. The whole sort of place being founded on slavery. I'm not going to be mentioning that much. And this is because the people in charge can control the narrative of American history. And this is this incredibly divided and divisive way of celebrating the 250th anniversary of America is just it's just off the charts, isn't it? It's kind of fucking crazy. Ivan, thank you very much for the £20 super chat. Hi, Graham. I won't be staying due to what is being discussed, but I sent you a message again last night. I would really appreciate your perspective on it. It's about my extra and ongoing stress with the TWP. Oh, okay, Ivan. Thanks very much for the super chat, and if you're still there, yeah, I'll get on to that after the show. Sorry, I'm just a bit snowed under at the moment. But yeah, I'll have a look at that for you, mate. And thank you. I will. Pushed on a little bit by Ivan's kindness there. I'm going to set up a thing for confetti. Don't do anything just yet. Let me get some confetti going. Let me get some confetti going. So yeah, this is fucking crazy. Let's have a look at what's happening. So it's a year-long celebration, in which most of the White House is going to look like a building site because obviously Trump's put a wrecking ball to the White House, taking it into the Shite House. The task force that Trump has made, Task Force 250, it's chaired by Donald Trump. It's got Vance as the vice chair, and this operates alongside the bipartisan congressional commission that I've already mentioned. And there's already tensions obviously emerged, and attempts were made to replace the commissioners in America 250 with ideological loyalists to Trump. I just, there's what else have we got? We've got the federal buildings have been ordered to be patriotically decorated by Trump. Oh yeah, Trump tried to get rid of the commissioners and replace them with his own people, and he was unsuccessful at doing that. That's why he's made this task force, because he couldn't get rid of the people who have been doing the job for 10 years. He wants a great American state fair, which is going to be planned for the National Mall. He wants a National Garden of American Heroes featuring selected statues, none of whom are black. And then, yeah, triumphal architecture, and this fucking UFC brawl. I mean, just what the fuck? Heavy emphasis on spectacle, on scale, and permanence. I think that everything Trump makes is going to be fucking torn down within a few days of his hopefully untimely demise. Actually, it's only untimely because it's taken so fucking long. So yeah, so this is a celebration framed as patriotism and America fuck yeah. It's basically the America fuck yeah celebration rather than a reflection on where America started and how far it's come. And they're gonna treat any kind of dissent as disruption and come down like a ton of bricks. And yeah, the history is being, rather than history being a thing that people study, it's a thing that people are told that no, that history book is wrong. That's not what happened. Actually, these white Americans were good and awesome all the time. We never burnt women to death for being witches, and we never enslaved black people, and we never did a Jim Crow South. We never had apartheid in America, separate bathrooms. And if we did, they deserved it. It's like the narcissist prayer on why is everyone being timed out? What is going on? Why is people being timed out? What is going on here? What's happening? Why is people being timed out in the chat? Why is Guy and Freya Men being timed out? Don't want to explain? What's happening? So yeah, next up I want to talk about the fact that the future direction. And this thing I said at the start of the show about the 15 years, what's America going to look like in 2040? I guess it'll be 2041 now, but this video was from last year. It's going to be cruel. It's going to be godless. It's going to be Gilead. It's going to be North Korea. It's going to be a theocracy. You're going to have armed federal presence normalized in civilian life. Immigration enforcement is being used as a testing ground for state power. Once they've got rid of all the undesirables, who do they move to next? The other undesirables, they'll just turn the dial. Okay, who's next after people who weren't born here? Well, people who are a different colour. Let's get rid of all the people who are a different colour. Let's deport them to countries that they don't know and that they've never been to. Communities are will be treated as hostile zones. Lethal force will be justified every day. You'll have the state murdering civilians in the street. Accountability will be non-existent because they'll be marking their own homework, like we saw last night in Minnesota. Well, the woman was killed, and then Kirsty Noem went on TV and went, "No, it wasn't us. She was trying to attack us, and it was self-defense," without knowing any of the details. And ICE, by the way, don't have cameras. You know this? They don't have cameras. You know, the police enforcement, law enforcement have to have cameras. They don't have to have cameras. Yeah. I'm not. I've just started the joke of calling people positive names. Oh, okay. Sorry, you had me worried then. I was like, why is Gallifreyan Ren being timed out? I was getting a bit upset. It's okay. I'm seriously not going to watch a single match played in the US, says Danny. Neither am I. Let's watch the ones in Mexico. Let's watch the ones in Canada and not watch any of the others. That includes the final. Not like England's going to be in it anyway, so I don't give a fuck. Of course, Scotland. No offense, Scotland, but you know, I mean, we, my friends, England and Scotland. The women are. But yeah, so you're gonna see fear used as a deterrent. You're going to see rights of citizens in America applied conditionally, and this is the world, this is the future the MAGA people want. You're going to have the fact that moral language is going to be used to justify punishment. You're going to have state violence framed as a virtue, and obedience is going to be framed as righteousness. Obedience to the state. These same clanging dick fucks who go around going, "Oh, I've got to have guns in case we have a tyrannical government." They'll be the first to fall in line. The first to fall in line with the federal state telling them what to do. The federal executive telling them what to do. They'll be like, "Yes, sir. No, sir. 3 bags full, sir." And you'll have suffering reframed as a necessity, like suffering, like what you had in the Soviet Union, like what you have at the moment in North Korea, suffering framed as a necessity for the glory of the state. Individualism swept away in pursuit of the Godhead, in pursuit of the state as being all encompassing and totalitarian. And you'll have power replacing ethics. Might will be right. Compassion will be treated as weakness. We're also going to have this Gilead system where women are going to be treated as we saw. There was it's funny because I was going to do a talk about this on Sunday, but I ended up talking about something else because of what happened over the weekend. But I don't know if any of you seen this clip from Daria, the CEO, who's some fucking dickhead who does a podcast, and him and some other guys, some fucking toxic manosphere gobshites, were talking about the fact that men are lonely because of I don't know why they said the men were lonely, but they are, and so the government should step in to make them less lonely, because they won't be able to pass on their genes. Take that to the next level. Take that one step down the road. Fucking what are you saying? That women be told to submit by the state to these sketchy little incels, to have sex with them and carry the incel's baby, because otherwise that's really bad that these incels won't pass the genes on. Mate, it's evolution. It's evolution. Like, I mean, if you treat women like shit, so no women want to be anywhere near you because you've been told to treat women like shit by the fucking dickheads you watch on the internet, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? But yeah, that's going to be on the cards. Women's bodies are not going to be theirs in America. This is the future that the MAGA fuckers want. They want morality policed by the state. They want certain groups that defined as inherently suspect. We've seen this from J.K. Rowling, who you wouldn't have expected maybe 10 years ago to be part of this fucking MAGA convolution. But she is. And she wrote on X, Twitter, a few years ago, she wrote that we've got to stop presuming innocence of certain minorities. She wrote that. What, like billionaires, Joanne? Or should I say Robert? Yeah, but you know, the way women will be treated in future America, if the MAGA people have their way, is going to be absolutely horrific. It's going to be Stepford wife, you know, that MAGA wife, trad wife bullshit. And if any women have ideas above their station, they're going to be sent to reprogramming camp or something. This is the future that the MAGA people want. They want it to be cruel and godless and miserable. They want the greatest misery for the greatest number, because these people are miserable themselves. And, you know, I know what it's like to be miserable now and again, but I don't externalize that. I don't go, well, I'm miserable, so everyone else has to be miserable too. That's a twatty way of seeing the world. It's very narcissistic. And then we got the North Korea that parallels the leader's narrative treated as truth, even though the reality is right there in front of you. We're seeing this time and time again. We see this in the 250th anniversary celebrations, in which the executive is trying to overrule the narrative being told by America 250, trying to tell the whole story. It would be a bit like putting Liz Truss in charge of the opening ceremony of the Olympics in 2012. Sorry, Danny, we've got Liz to do this instead. Could you imagine how fucking batshit insane that would be? And then we've got the fact that the immediate narrative from the state comes out after some violence has happened. Like a woman has been killed, a civilian has been shot dead by ICE agents for no fucking good reason, right? There's never a good reason to shoot someone dead. I mean, a unarmed mother, a 37-year-old woman, shot dead. And straight away, they want narrative control. Oh, she was attacking us with her car, which she wasn't. She was just trying to get away. The enemies of the state are omnipresent and vaguely defined. This is such a defining trait of these autocratic, totalitarian places. We can look at North Korea. We can go, what are they doing in North Korea? And Americans have looked at that and gone, we want a bit of that. Americans have looked at, more possibly than North Korea, Saudi Arabia. So if you want to know what America's going to look like in 15 years' time, look at Saudi Arabia. Look at the way they treat women. Look at the way they treat minorities. Look at the way they treat people who dress differently, think differently, have a different take on life. They fucking kill them. Subjugate them. Keep them in shackles their whole lives. And this is the future the MAGA people want. This is the future for them. A place where spectacle replaces accountability, you know? And the state is always framed as the victim. It's always the victim of some, you know, devilish, shadowy cabal who rules, you know, over us all. And it's the same language that you hear from people who go on about the Illuminati, or, you know, the New World Order, whatever the fuck their pot-addled mind comes up with, or they've been told by someone else who's a pot-addled mind. But you know what they've read on the internet, or as Liz Truss would have it, the woke blob that's coming to get them, that's stopping them from doing what they do, what they want to do. They're always the victims. They're always the victims. Trump plays the victim card all the time. They stole our oil. Look, this place, this Venezuela, they took our oil. This grievance, this politics of grievance. And last year, Kamala Harris said straight up, you know, I'm coming into the White House. I'll be coming into the White House with a list of things to do. Trump is going to be coming in with a list of grievances. And that's exactly what has happened. But also, so you got this North Korea part of it, you got this Gilead part of it, but also, I think most importantly and most best exemplified by the fact there's going to be a fucking UFC brawl on the White House lawn to celebrate America's 250th anniversary. Idiocracy. Idiocracy got this so right. The only thing that Idiocracy got wrong is that they set it 500 years in the future. They needed to set it 20 years in the future, and then it would have been bang on accurate. The wrestling metaphors, the fact that it's all to do with the image and the look, and no one knows how anything works, and we're just making it up as they go along. They're just relying on automation to do all the things, and everyone thinks they're a lot more intelligent than they actually are. And this is a world that they've looked at Idiocracy and gone, I'll have some of that, you know? I'll have some of that. Let's ignore the long-term consequences of feeding the crops with, is it Bruno? And think about, like, Idiocracy is such, if you haven't seen it, it's a movie by Mike Judge. It didn't get much of a fanfare when it came out because it was made by 20th Century Fox, and that's owned by Rupert Murdoch, and obviously they got Fox News, and at the time, they felt like it was insulting their viewers of Fox News. So it kind of got buried a little bit when it came out, but it's a really funny film. It's called Idiocracy. And I say it's a funny film. It's not a funny film anymore because it's just the fucking lived reality of what it's like in America. This crossover between spectacle and governance. I want people governing. That's the whole point of the government. And leave the fucking circuses, leave the clown acts, leave the fucking, you know, the high wire acts, leave that to the entertainers. I don't want to mash up. Every time this happens, where you get someone who's like a natural born entertainer, like Ronald Reagan, who was an actor, or Boris Johnson, who's like a comedian, oh, I'm so funny, look at me, or like Trump, gobshite. Pretty much every time you go down this route and it's not to say that if you were a comedian in a past life like Zelensky, you can't go on to greatness. Of course you can, but you've got to leave that behind. You can't treat the whole thing as some big fuck off joke, trying to make these spectacles happen. No, you got to get down to work. You've got to do the hard yakka. You got to, actually read stuff and consider and make decisions. And the decision shouldn't be based on how fucking stupid you and your fucking followers are. I'll tell you that now. So yeah, it's not governance. It's performative, isn't it? It's performance and ignorance being celebrated, not knowing what happened in the past, misinterpreting what happened in the past, misinterpreting the way the world works, misinterpreting geopolitics or the geography or history or science. Misinterpreting this is seen as a wonderful thing. Ignorance being celebrated, idiocracy. And so, the structural outcomes of all this, once Trump's not in power anymore, if this MAGA thing continues without him, which I don't think it will, but it could, you're going to see more centralized executive power in America. You're going to see federal override of local authority, which you've seen already. They've said in Minneapolis, we do not want ICE here. We do not want these masked, vigilante, January the 6th rioter fuckwits running around arresting people in our state. We don't want them here in our city. We don't want them in our state. And the executive in Washington is like, no, fuck you. It's very interesting because they also trot out the narrative that the Civil War wasn't about slavery. It was about states' rights. It's about states' rights. Well, what are states' rights now? Protest is becoming increasingly restricted, and education in America, obviously they shut down the Department of Education. That was one of the first places to go. Shaped by ideology rather than reality. What they're teaching in American schools at the moment is fucking horrific. It's not really. It's America had a problem with history because it didn't really teach world history. It just taught American history and gave Americans quite a myopic view of the world. And anyone who's met an American on the road traveling will appreciate this. They seem to know a lot less about why the world is the way it is than other people that you meet from places in Europe or even Australia, New Zealand. Elections will continue, I'm sure, but the lack of consequence to anything that Trump does or anything his goons do, and don't forget his goons, January the 6th, 2021, they fucking stormed the Capitol building, caused $3 million worth of damage. They caused 150 police officers to be injured. 9 people died as a result of that, or as a result of that mob. And they all got away with it. They all got pardoned by Trump. No consequences. Consequence-free life. You give these 12-year-old children, nasty, bully-faced gobshites with the brains of 12-year-olds, and you let them run loose and you let them do whatever they want. And this is the world that they are constructing. And it's genuinely terrifying and heartbreaking, because America, everyone would fucking knock America. It was kind of fun to knock America and take it down a peg or two when we felt it was necessary. And they do make a movie about everything they ever do. They'll go into Vietnam. They'll make a load of Vietnam movies about how Vietnam made them sad. And very few Vietnam movies from the point of view of the Vietnamese. Is there? Funny that. They've never been like the knight in shining armor that they've made out to be. But at least in the past they've wanted that to be the perception. You make me want to be a better man. I might not be a good person, but I'm trying to be. And that's the way America was for a long time. It was trying, despite the fact that now and again you get these fucking gobshites like George W. Bush or Ronald Reagan into power, and they'll do horrible, horrible things like the Iraq War or the invasion of Grenada. And they would be pull back. It's like elastic, isn't it? It pulls back, and people say, "Oh, you can't do that." But we're living in the world that was created by Reagan and by Thatcher in the 1980s, and what we need to do right now, because we're powerless to do anything about what's going on in America, we can boycott some American goods and services. That would be a great idea. But here I am on Google, one of the biggest American companies there is. But I also see, and we have to leave it to our politicians to do anything, major in terms of telling America to fuck off, which I've explained you can't really do. But what we do need to take from all this is we need to take notes and make sure that the same sort of thing doesn't happen here. So, got some homework for you. Identify in people that you know in your life who are a bit faragey. You might only have a few left. I don't know if you've got any now because obviously Brexit and everything spoils a lot of relationships between people in this country. But if you have any farages, find their weakness, find their pressure point, find the thing that they actually care about. And I know that shouldn't be a weakness, it should be a strength, but this is the thing, right? Find the thing they care about and then frame an argument that shows that if we go down the MAGA route, that thing will be taken away from them. And why? Why will that be taken away from them? Well, because, and if people say I've got things couldn't be worse, as someone who has traveled extensively, don't say things can't be worse, because they fucking can. And if we don't keep vigilant and we don't keep fighting and we don't keep making a fuss, being a pain in the arse, doing what we can as individuals, coming together, lots of us to say, no, we want this, we want that, then we're fucked. We're absolutely fucked. And one of the reasons why America has ended up the way it has is because of laziness and cowardice on behalf of the people on the left. Well, it's the left. I mean, it's the Democrats, so they're like the conservatives in America, whereas the Republicans are like the National Front. But yeah, the way that the American political spectrum is drawn is a little bit different. They don't really have left-wing parties. They use the word socialist as a pejorative, which they try to do over here as well. It's like, what you mean? You mean like the NHS? When an American says to me, "Oh, yeah, fucking socialism," I go, "What? Like the army?" And they go, "What?" And well, you've got millions of people working for the American military who are paid for by the taxpayer. Sounds like socialism to me. And then they leave and they get discounts on everything. And then they get a pension off the state. They get free money after you're paying people from the taxes. There you go, for doing that thing. How's that not socialism? Viper Scott, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. 33 of the pardons have charged and back in jail 2 murdered folk. Graham for Dear's Confetti Fix. Thank you very much. Yeah. 2 people have been murdered. That the blood of that is on Donald Trump's hands, just like the blood of the 9 people who died as a result of January the 6th is on his hands. 75 Venezuelans. The way they told the story over the weekend, it was like they went in, came out, and no one died. But actually, 75 Venezuelans, or maybe Cubans, because there were some Cuban people there as well in the presidential palace, or the bunker, or whatever the fuck it was, in Caracas in Venezuela. And Maduro was yeeted out of the country. I mean, and then we've seen the fallout from that, because America's very good at doing this sort of spectacle, but it doesn't want to tidy up the mess it's made. It is like a fucking toddler. Makes a big fucking mess, got no interest in cleaning it up. So yeah, this is the direction America's taking under Trump, and we need to be aware of it, and we need to use it to our advantage when it comes to arguing with people, talking to people, and be reasonable. Don't call them cunts to their face, even though you might be screaming it in your head. Be reasonable, but find the thing they care about and explain to them how that's going to be taken away. Usually it's the NHS. Because it's all well and good for people to go, "Oh, I don't need the NHS right now." But they find a lump. It's a very different story. 2 great songs from the 60s that I can't get out of my head. For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield and Effigy by Creedence. Yeah, Colin. And What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield. What a fucking song that is. That is a fucking fantastic song. There's also The Eve of Destruction by Barry McGuigan, is it? I'll think about that one as well quite a lot. But yeah, if you ever watch a really good movie with Nicolas Cage in, and he's in some shite, but he's in some really great fucking movies, and it has got Jared Leto in, who's a twat, but let's kind of ignore that for the moment. But Lord of War, and it starts with that Buffalo Springfield song, and it follows the making, the manufacture of a bullet in America and going over to Africa and where it ends up. It's a black comedy, and it has one of the most brutal endings of any movie I've ever watched. And it's very much, I don't know, it's almost clairvoyant in the way that, well, no, I suppose it was commenting on the world as it was in 2007 or whenever it was made, but it's so pertinent today. It is so pertinent today, and you'll realize that when you watch the movie. If you haven't seen it. I don't know, spoilers, please. Talking of spoilers, we're going to be showing the papers in a moment. If you don't want to know who the secret traitor is, I don't know, go make yourself a jam butty or something. Nick and Diff, very hard to boycott American products. We're on one right now, but you can make conscious choices, avoid Amazon, American food brands, etc. I'm sure there are USA companies equally shocked by events. I don't think companies care, to be honest with you. I think companies just think about the bottom line. Dragons says, one lesson to pass on. They don't have the introspection to accommodate shame. All that sticks is embarrassment. Yeah, that's true. Socialism is civilization and civilization is socialism, says Grant. I don't think you're wrong, mate. Society, socialism, rather than getting the market to define absolutely everything, The market will find the way. The market does things, but no, it fucking doesn't. Every time we've tried to put the market in places where it doesn't belong in this country, the free market, in monopolies, in these private partnership initiatives for the NHS, it fucking blows up in our face. Just stop it. Just fucking stop it. Lord of War is excellent. It's a really good movie, and I don't know if it holds up now. I need to watch it again, I think. But it's one of those films that really stayed with me because that's what would happen. That is absolutely what would happen. And I like it when Hollywood just decides one day to tell the truth. To go, no, this is the reality. Sorry, I'd love to sugarcoat this for you, but forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown. And these rich motherfuckers get away with it. Keep pointing out to people that who aren't rich, ask them why these people keep getting away with fucking murder and we don't. We can't do anything. We can't get a letter wrong when we're booking a flight without facing a huge fine, a bigger fine for getting a letter wrong than you would for literally killing a child with your car. That's the world we live in. An administrative mistake when you're buying a service off a company and they're like, ha, I got you now. Or when Liverpool City Council's giving you a parking ticket without actually putting signs up that say you need to pay now until 11 p.m. Oh no, we put a thing in the Echo. The Echo. Who reads newspapers? And I can't even go on the Echo website because I don't know if any of you have been on local newspaper sites ever, but fuck me, they're unreadable because of the ads. They are absolutely unreadable. It is quite fucking painful. Liz, thank you very much for the $5. Big donor. Dollar is a turbojet for the Republicans and the ball and chain for the Democrats. I wonder about the conditions big donors often give to both. Yeah. Well, again, Liz, it's something that I think is baked in America, but it's something that we can do something about in this country. Labour desperately need to ban people from doing second jobs. That's it. Just ban, not people, politicians, MPs. MPs cannot have a second job. That's it. I wouldn't let lords have a second job either. No, you can't be a lord and on the board of a fucking company. No, fuck off. You're going to give someone legislative powers for life and they're working for this road building company and then a bill comes through saying, oh, we're going to stop road building because it's bad for the environment. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to put loads of amendments on it so it doesn't go anywhere? And I worry about and I know there's some people, my MP, Mary Foy, she disagrees with euthanasia because she takes a moral stance on it and she's explained to me her position on it and why she feels that way. And I understand that, right? However, I do feel like there are certain members of Parliament, members of the House of Lords in particular, who are being paid, think about this for a moment, by companies that make money out of human suffering, out of prolonged human suffering. I'll give you an example. My dad, right? My dad has got dementia, as I've mentioned before. He's been on a death note for 5 years, over 5 years, right? He was put on palliative care in September of 2020, right? He's still with us, but he has to have carers coming 4 times a day. You're paying for that out of your taxes, but that money is going to a private company that run the services. It doesn't go to the NHS. It goes to a private company that runs the services. The only reason why he gets the palliative care is because he's dying, and that's the rule. If you're not dying, if you've got Alzheimer's and dementia, and obviously that ends in death, but you're not bad enough for them to say, oh, you need palliative care, you have to pay for that yourself. And it's $2,000 a week to be in a care home. $2,000 a week. It's $2,000 a week to get the carers to come. That's how much it costs. That's how much they're taking off us. And you got to think, hang on, if it was me in my dad's position, and I had put down specific rules to say, if I go the same way as my dad, and I am given, I'm never going to recover, I'm never going to get better. I do not want to, have people having to come look after me every day for 5 years, longer. That's ridiculous. Why would I want people to have to do that? Why would I do that to my family? I wouldn't. I'd have it written down. This is my wishes. And if that happens to me, I want you to make me go to sleep and not wake up. Thank you. My body, my rights. But think about it from the point of view of the pharmaceutical companies or the caregiving companies. Why would they want euthanasia? Because they'll lose out on hundreds of thousands of pounds from each and every old person who's got a terminal illness, who's not going to recover, but we just keep them alive. We just keep them alive as long as we can. I mean, a little bit conspiracy theory, but I wouldn't put it past them. It's like the anti-vaxxers. I think that there are certain pharmaceutical companies that actually pay anti-vaxxers to come out with the anti-vax stuff. Because vaccinations, nearly all of them are public domain. So anyone can make them. They're generic, right? Polio vaccination, generic. Smallpox vaccine, generic. There's no one company that has the right to that particular vaccine. Even when you have something like the COVID vaccine, you have different companies that make different vaccines based on, different processes. So we had the AstraZeneca one here. There's the Pfizer one, wasn't there? And a few others, right? Moderna. And so it's actually in the interests of the pharmaceutical companies to not have children vaccinated, which is what they're doing in America right now. They're pulling back on the vaccination regimen over there. So kids aren't getting vaccinated against hepatitis and meningitis and things like that. And as a result, kids are going to develop these illnesses. Some will die, some will survive, but then they'll be impaired for the rest of their lives. They may lose the ability to walk or see or hear because of the illness that they've had. That is the way that if you were a ruthless motherfucker running a pharmaceutical company, or even if it's not the scientists here, I'm not saying they're bad, I don't think they are. I think the people actually working every day to find new cures, to find new vaccines, to find new remedies for people's sicknesses and illnesses and treating people to make them better. I'm not having a go at them, but it's probably the hedge funds and that fucking own, the consortiums that own these companies or have a big money stake in them, directing them to make more and more money. And what do you want to make loads of money if you are an evil person running a pharmaceutical company? Suffering. You want human suffering. And the more human suffering that you can create, the better, because the more money you make. A woman who goes and has an abortion, that is a baby that's not going to be born, and therefore a human being that isn't going to live in poverty all their life and get all kinds of horrific diseases and things that are associated with growing up in poverty as an unwanted child. They're not going to have that. And so there's that money that they can extract from the suffering of that baby as it grows up. They won't get it. They won't get any of it. So are they also funding anti-abortion stuff as well? I wouldn't put it past them. We know that the oil companies are funding anti-trans bigotry. We know that. We've got evidence. 80% of the money coming in to anti-trans groups in America comes from the oil industry. Massa, make America Saudi Arabia. But yeah, it's. I don't know. Some of you watching this and probably going, Graham, you've lost me, saying, "Oh, it's all a big conspiracy." I don't think it necessarily is, and I think there are some good people working for these companies, and they do mean well. But when I see that motherfucker from Fujitsu after the post office scandal, which has cost billions, and we're going to be paying that, the taxpayer's going to be paying that, and the MP in the select committee says to him, excuse me, right? How much are you going to give Fujitsu towards this reparation fund? And he's like, I can't tell you that. He's like, well, you make £2 million a day from the taxpayer, so you got a lot of money coming in, and then you got all the other things that Fujitsu does that makes lots of money. So can you just give us a ballpark figure? No, I can't do that. And the way that these execs, these CEOs, they behave like their company is their firstborn. Their company must be protected against all. The bottom line must be protected, and they put everything on the line for that. They give up. They give up their dignity, their morality for the bottom line. It's so sick. It's so sick to see. But yeah, this is why socialism, to go back to the point, socialism is civilization. This is why socialism is so important, because we need to do things not for the bottom line. Because almost always, if you just focus on the bottom line, you just focus on building up the share portfolios of shareholders and getting a bigger fucking yacht to your CEO. If you just concentrate on that, then you lose all sense of humanity, and you lose all sense of fairness, justice, and goodness. And you become, this cruel, godless society that America wants to be. And I use godless as a pejorative here, because even though I'm an atheist, right? The idea of somewhere, I use it because I know that Americans fucking hate it. I know that Americans, you look at their place and you say, that's a godless place. Because they fucking love their God. They love their Goddy. In their world, in their prosperity Bible bullshit, they believe that God put them on earth to make money for billionaires. It's a weird thing for God to do. But then again, a lot of things God does in the Bible are fucking weird. But yeah, that's not the point. That's the reason I put that in there. It's not to have a go at atheists. I'm an atheist myself. I'm just saying, this is a place without morality, a place without decency, a place without honor. And that's the world that the capitalist scum in America and in the UK, Farage and Tice and Wigmore and Banks and Rees-Mogg, Johnson and Gove and all these motherfuckers, that's the world they want to build. A world without ethics, a world in which nothing matters and there's no consequences and might is right. Yeah. Ban political donations as well, says DJ Marcy Moo. Couldn't agree more, Marcy. There's an interesting YouTuber who's been exposing links between Manchester City Council and car parking company Sippy, where the council is putting misleading signs that cause parking fines. Yeah, if you follow Zoe Bread, she's on that. She is on that in Liverpool as well. Benny says Lord of War was based on a Russian arms dealer who was exchanged from the US to Russia and went on to supply Russia's current war. Wow, based on a true story. Unbelievable. The current Labour government is being led by a weaker leader who has surrounded himself with yes people. That's my view, says Chris C. I think that it's a good thing that Starmer's the leader of Labour at the moment. Load him up like a sacrificial mule. Just load him up with everything bad that is happening, everything bad that's gone on, every bad decision that Labour's made since it got in, all of the fucking needless bigotry and cruelty. Load it up on that motherfucking mule. And when the time comes, cast him out into the desert. That's what I want to see now. So yeah, I would not, and I've said this before, I would not like to swap with Starmer right now. Not in the current geopolitical climate. Not for all the fucking tea in China. But, and I like tea, but I can see why he does what he does in the way that he does it. But he is not the leader that we need to take us into the next election. He is not the leader that we deserve. He's the leader we've got at the moment. And there is a part of me that is very, very glad that it is Starmer, even though he's uncharismatic and he makes mistakes and he's fucking sounds like a droning bloody Roger irrelevant, you know. Oh, hello, Roger. How you doing? Okay, cool. Bye, Roger. I get all that. I completely get all that. But at the same time, like, it could be Johnson. It could be Truss. It could be Nigel Farage. And when people say it couldn't get much worse, yes, it can. It can get a lot worse. So we need to, sleep with one eye open. Holding the pillow tight. And not sure of ownership, but rubbish for sure. So ads jumping all over the place, says Mr. Tisk. Yeah, the ad. Are you talking about the ads on local newspaper sites? I can't read anything on them. Privatization of public services is immoral. I couldn't agree more, Liz. I absolutely, you are right. And Zoshalik says an ineffective opposition that doesn't believe in anything at all except money and perks. Are you talking about the Tories there? Yeah. DJ Marcy Moo says, my mum works in social care and often visiting people receiving palliative care. She supports assisted dying. Yeah, I know. I've met people. I know people who work in palliative care as well, and they generally say, yeah, if you can, there's no reason to prolong the suffering. And don't forget, this isn't really talked about, but a lot of people, this is the cruelty of dementia, right? If you have cancer, you still have all your faculties about you, unless I suppose it's a type of brain cancer. But if you've got normal cancer, it won't affect your ability to make decisions, right? So a lot of cancer patients, when they reach end of life, they have a thing to press to get the morphine, and at some point the restriction is taken off that. And this is something that's done. We don't talk about it, but the person with cancer gets to make a conscious decision. Okay, I'm in too much pain. There's no point in me staying alive for another week in pain. I'm going to go anyway, so I'm going to go on my terms. And they press the button, and they keep the button, they keep the finger on it until they fall asleep, and then they don't wake up. That's the reality. And that's the system that we have. And it's a bit of a legal grey area, because this is the way that we have to deal with it. In the same way, like abortion, I couldn't believe this when I found out last year talking to Stella Creasy that abortion's not technically legal in this country. I was like, isn't it? What? What? Run that by me again? And making it a full legal right to an abortion would change a few things that would help women in general, women's health, women's reproductive health. But it was blocked. Stella Creasy was trying to push for that, but it was blocked, probably by men. My dad is under palliative care. I'm sorry, Lee. It's not fun, is it? Because they haven't, because they decided he hasn't died a year later. They're trying to make him pay for it. He's just found out his cancer has spread to his kidneys and bladder. Oh, I'm sorry, Lee. Mate, I'm really, really sorry. Lee, you've got my number, man. Keep in touch. If you want to meet up at some point over the next couple of months, I'll come over to you on the bad side of the M6, and yeah, let's meet up at some point, mate. I'm really sorry to hear that. It really fucking sucks. Could be Great Britain, 50-50 US state. What are the other four? Canada, Venezuela, Greenland, and Panama. Okay. Farage should be forced to resign for failure to turn up at PMQs without genuine reason. That has to do with his position as an MP. Going on TV or radio doesn't count. Yeah. David says, my dad died of Alzheimer's, lost all his dignity. I wasn't upset when he died. I thought he was better off in death. That it's that terrible a disease. Yeah. And you can't make that decision. If you got cancer, you can make that decision at that point. If you got dementia, you can't. They just keep you alive. And Kim Leadbeater's private bill to legalize euthanasia looks like it's going to die in the House of Lords because of five members of the House of Lords have done everything in their power to derail it with 1,000 amendments. Motherfuckers. I'm just frustrated as hell with Starmer, but have deep concerns over who would replace him. Just get rid of his stupid advisors first, please. Yeah, Nick and Diff. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea for. I think what's going to happen. I think that if they have got some kind of time frame, I don't know if they have. You never know. But if they do have some kind of time frame, I'll be like, okay, we're going to get our asses handed to us in May in the local elections. So at that point, we get rid of the advisors. Morgan McSweeney's got to walk because we did so badly in that election. We've got a good excuse then because we say, well, you know, he was the guy brought in because he was so good in the general election. He got us all these seats. But then, you know, he's not winning matches anymore. So we're going to have to get rid of him and get a new manager in. Right. So maybe Solskjaer. But yeah, I could see that. And then keep Starmer in maybe for another year or so. But I do genuinely believe that Starmer is not the person who should be leading Labour into the next election. I think if anyone, it should be Andy Burnham. He's really popular. He's really fucking popular. I mean, he's a bit divisive amongst Labour people, but fuck him. You know, you want someone who sounds like us. That's what we want. Someone who sounds like us. David Faulkner, thank you very much for the 38 Hong Kong dollars. A friend here turned 88, took his boat out to open sea, went for a swim and didn't return to the boat. His note said that it was his time, his own choice. Yeah, that's fair enough, David. And yeah, good. And can we talk about having a good death? Can we talk about this kind of stuff? Because I know a guy took his, well, didn't know him that well, but there was a guy who took his boat out in Panama, in Bocas, and he took his own life in a way that needed cleaning up afterwards. Let's just say he was an American. And yeah, that seemed to me, I'm completely understand when these things happen. And when I was younger, I always felt like if someone took their own life, it's the most selfish thing you could possibly do because of the impact that it has on the people around, the people who stay, people who remain. But having lived and had some friends go that way, I've completely changed my view on that entirely, because when you're in that mental state, you're not thinking straight. You're not thinking about other people. You're not thinking about what they have to clean up, what happens next, the ripples that will reverberate through the lives of people that for the rest of their lives. They'll never stop thinking about it. I know I don't. And so, yeah, not giving people an option for a good death, I think, is cruelty beyond measure. I really do. And driving people to a situation where they're like, well, I don't want to suffer. I don't want to be in pain. So I'm going to go out this way rather than that way. And if you had choice between having to do something very drastic to end it all, or being at home, surrounded by your family and friends, and you go to sleep, and they hold your hand, that's a good death. But these five lords don't want us to fucking have that. I don't fucking, for the life of me, unless they're getting paid by pharmaceutical companies and care companies to fucking feather their own nests, I have no idea. The morality just doesn't stack up for me. It just doesn't. And I know that there are worries about the implementation of such an act, but those are things that we can work out. You shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's things we can do. Nick and Diff. Oh yeah, Graham. Women can't choose to have their tubes tied either. You might change your mind. You're too young, etc. But men, vasectomy during lunch tomorrow. Utter madness. Yeah. Oh, women's health. Women's health. I mean, we need to do a whole episode of The Intersection talking about women's health and the way that medicines are tested on men. The way that medical procedures are based on men. I mean, for many years you couldn't get, those what they call the mannequins that you have for testing for doing CPR practice on. They were always men. They didn't have women. For a long time they didn't have women CPR dummies to test to practice giving CPR. That a boy child, not a girl child. My gran had a serious stroke, says Elle, completely incapacitated. She passed in my mum's arms 3 months later. I was relieved for my gran. I felt for her the whole time. No end should be dragged out like that. Yeah. Yeah, L. Yeah. Sarah says, when my dad died from vascular dementia, the DWP charged my mum's mum a month's worth of his pension because he died a day after he got his last payment, and they said no to help with the funeral. Fucking unbelievable. Fucking unbelievable. Airplane legends. We had time to enter the chat. Yeah. Burnham might get back the voters Labour lost with their anti-disabled policies. Yeah, Peter, I believe that. I genuinely do. I think he would do quite a good job. I believed Starmer would do quite a good job in going into the 2024 election, and I was right. He did a great job, and now that job is done, and now he needs to hand the torch onto somebody else because. I read the lyrics to Sharon, no auto deletion, but the dog went doing what she loved. Made me cry, but also less afraid to be offed in a protest. Weird connection, I know. Regarding Labour leadership, anyone but Wes, yeah. Anyone but that balloon-faced gobshite. Yeah, we don't like Wes on this channel, do we? Yeah, Starmer's told his cabinet to ignore the polls as they are unimportant. How more detached from reality can you get? Well, Chris. Yeah, people say polls don't matter. Polls don't matter because the election's miles away. They show the direction of travel. But on the plus side, direction of travel is moving away from Nigel Farage at the moment. £5 super chat. Miss Paula Thomas, update on the Grok scandal. Liz Kendall said this is a problem for Ofcom. She has to go. Yeah, I was going to talk about this actually. You're absolutely fucking right there, Paula. Thank you for the super chat. This is mind blowing. Labour have a chance for an easy fucking win. An easy win. Who are they going up against? Paedophiles. Who does everybody hate? Or at least say they hate. Even the paedophiles say that they hate paedophiles. They're the most reviled segment of society. And quite rightly so. A group, a minority that we can feel, good about being bigoted towards. We can feel good about being cruel to. And what do? Do they make a decision there and then and say, listen, we're going to stop Twitter we're going to stop British people having access to Twitter while we sort this shit out. We're going to stop British children having access to Twitter to strip naked or strip down to their underwear, their classmates, which is what's happening right now. We're going to stop them having access to that tomorrow. That's it. Midnight tonight. No more Twitter in the UK. We're going to block its IP. Whatever, you do to block a website. The app won't work. Maybe you'll be able to get a VPN, but you've got to pay for a VPN subscription. And if you haven't got a credit card, it's quite difficult to do. So, yeah. Nice one. What do Labour do instead? Oh, this is an issue for Ofcom. Fucking useless cunts. Sorry to drop the C-bomb. I know it's getting demonetized, but I don't really care anymore. God, it's proper fucking winds me up. I just feel like screaming in the faces of the people at Labour. Do something! Well, we've got to consider all of the different all the different things that could be put into the context of the idealization of the emotion of the thing that we're trying to do in the future with the thing, and we're going to have delivering, and they'll be delivered, and then once they're delivered, they'll be delivered. Yeah. Fuck me. Okay, my daughter is mixed. I cannot live in a shithole society the way things are going. I'll do something stupid. Please don't do something stupid, Danny. But if you need a little bit of a pressure valve release, please, join us. Because I generally go off on one every fucking morning at the state of the world at the moment. Ofcom's powers are 20 years out of date. Ofcom, it can't even stop Gammon Box News, which is paid by billionaires for the interest of billionaires and fascists. Like it's set up by fascist billionaires. Peter Thiel has his fingers in the GB News pie along with the father of the banjo player from fucking Mumford & Sons. Jesus Christ. If they just made bad music, it'd be bad enough. But yeah, look, Ofcom has sent a strongly worded letter to XAI. What more do you want them to do? Yeah. Viper Scott says, thanks you for making this an excellent community and education of folk. Yes. Thank you, Alistair, and everyone else in the chat there. You know, thank you for making this community what it is. Could you imagine the fines would be for the Telegraph per week? What if we fine them £1 per viewer per lie, as Andy's suggesting in the chat? Yeah. You have to tell us exactly how many people saw that. I'm going to fine you £1 for each one. Per lie. Wow. Refuck announces 2028 London mayoral candidate Layla Cunningham, Islamophobic mayor of London, an ex-Tory to boot. How typical of the Tory, Tory light. It's light blue, isn't it? It is Tory light. It's just a new vehicle. It's the escape vehicle, isn't it? It's the escape vehicle for the what's it called? The Tory party. Layla Cunningham. Yeah, she's oh god, she was a Conservative Party. That was her affiliation. She was elected to Westminster City Council for the Tories, and then she defected to Refuck last year. She does not blame people for holding anti-Muslim prejudice. She said that Islamophobia should not be codified as a criminal offence, and that Muslims must accept being offended or move to another country. It's not about being offended. What the fuck? Like, I'm sorry. Where is it in law that you have a right not to be offended, and you can put people in jail because they're offended? That doesn't happen. That's never happened. You've made up a crime there. You've made up a law that doesn't fucking exist. I have every right in the world to fucking offend whoever I fucking want. I can't incite violence. I can't shout fucking fire in a crowded theatre because that's against the fucking law. I can't discriminate against someone because they're Muslim. I can't be horrible to someone and attack them verbally or physically because of their religion. But that's not making people feel like, that's nothing to do with, being offended. It's not people are being offended. It's people being targeted by racists. I thought we were over that. Jesus Christ. Clearly not. Viper Scott. I love this community we have here. Bravo. Oh, and I love you, Alistair. Thank you very much for the super chat. Di Stanton, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. For my sins, I was one of the original developers of the internet. Yes, I'm that fucking old. I will burn in hell for that. Di, first of all, thank you for the super chat. Secondly, you're not going to burn in hell. There's a lot of good on the internet. If it wasn't for the internet, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. The internet is a tool, and people can use that tool in good ways, or they can use it in evil ways. People can use a knife to make a really nice dinner for lots of people, for homeless people, for people who need it, or they can use a knife to stab people. It's a tool. And the people who use it to stab people need to be thrown in jail. So that the only people who are using a knife are using them to do a good thing with the knife. This is where I don't get guns. There's nothing good you can do with a gun except kill people. But yeah. Don't feel bad about the internet or social media or AI, to be honest with you. It's a tool. And there needs to be guardrails put in place so it can't be, people won't take the piss, because people will take the piss, as they often do. So, yes, but yeah, do not for 1 second feel bad about that. The internet is a great and glorious thing, and just because some people misuse it does not give rise to your eternal damnation, I don't think. I don't think that's reasonable. Stay. I don't think that's a reasonable punishment. Saz, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Graham and this lovely community help me stay hopeful. Oh, thanks, Saz. And you help me make me stay hopeful with your super chat there. Thank you. And California here. We will never be MAGA here. Great show, Graham. That's from 2 Magma Command, $5. Thank you. And yeah, I think that Canada, possibly even Oregon and Washington will break off and be its own fucking country. That'll be interesting, because all of like the middle of America, especially if the New England states break off as well and form their own country, that's going to be very interesting indeed. Because America, how's it going to get stuff across the Pacific? It'll either have to pay California shipping rights to actually ship the stuff, transport the stuff across California to San Diego or whatever docks you're taking it to, or they'll have to go through the Panama Canal, which isn't American anymore. Hurrah! Anyway, with You're in Infected Off very quickly. £2 super chat. I'm offended by boy bands, for fuck's sake. What? What's wrong with boy bands? Because they're secretly demons. If you watch K-pop Demon Hunters, you know what I'm talking about. Martin Harrow, £2 super chat. Thank you very much. That is very kind of you. And also, it triggered something wonderful, something quite wonderful, which I'm going to show you right now. It's triggered, thank you, Martin, the confetti. 3, 2, 1, confetti time! Thank you very much. And also thank you to Viper Scott there for the £2 super chat there. Confetti time, Diz. All good, all good. Thanks, Alistair and Simon. Brilliant. I have family in LA, Jollity. Yeah, when I'm talking about America in 15 years' time earlier, I've kind of got it in my head that by then, Canada's like, fuck, California's like, fuck this shit. The Western states, the 3 of them along the coast there are like, we're not doing this anymore. This is not the America that we signed up for. I could see the New England states going the same way as well. New York and LA are big and ugly enough to take care of themselves. They don't need the federal structure of America, especially if things go the way I think they're going to go, which we were discussing yesterday about the oil. We stopped using the petrodollar. The idea that all transactions to do with oil is based on is American money. So you have a Dutch oil company drilling in Nigeria, and the money that goes from one to the other is in US dollars. If they switch to euros, then America's in quite a lot of shit. Airbane Legends, £5 super chat. As soon as they confirm the Greenland plan, Europe should have slowly started selling US debt until they backed off, but they won't. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. That is a pressure point that we can put on the Americans. And they put fucking tariffs on us, so fuck them. Tit for tat. They put the tariffs on and barely anything happens. Last time they put tariffs on, the EU got together and they put targeted tariffs on things like Harley Davidson motorbikes. So, all the states that voted for Trump, Tennessee and places like that, the Jim Beam and Jack Daniels whiskey or bourbon, sour mash, whatever the fuck it is. They targeted them and they got Trump to back down that first time around. But this time they just seem to be like sort of acquiescing, just hoping, waiting that one morning Trump won't wake up and we can celebrate the big, beautiful day. What's the chances if he does die in his sleep, right, that Trump, we don't find out for days? Like Stalin. They didn't tell anyone that Stalin was dead for days. I think it might be very similar. Fat Spicer, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. I'm paying a £5 fine for my band covering 2 Mumford songs. Didn't realise Banjo Boy was one of them. Yeah, privately educated. I think all of the people in Mumford & Sons went to private school. They're all incredibly posh. And the banjo player's father is the founder of GB News. And he's a right-wing, rich, fash, tyrant, gobshite. He is a particularly loathsome specimen of the upper echelons of the upper elite. And Martin says, got my mate a mug for Christmas. Cool looking pattern. But if you turn it on its side, it says, fuck this shit. Love it. Love it. My cousin is a session musician playing bass and lead guitar. He's based in San Diego. He's a good guy. California's so wealthy, it becomes the 5th or 6th biggest economy on its own. Yeah, freckle puny. But then, I want to sort of talk about this for a moment. I know I should be going to the papers. I said an hour ago that I was going to go to the papers soon, but it's worth remembering because I am sick and tired of seeing people, and the likes of Truss do this. They go, Britain's like economy is doing worse than Mississippi's. I'm just like, have you been to Mississippi? Have you seen the poverty in Mississippi? Because what they're basing the wealth on is the wealth of like 3 people who live there who own $1 trillion fucking dollars each. And then they just get the average, that they say, oh, that's the GDP. It's the same what's happening in Ireland. When you look at the GDP per capita of Ireland, it's amazing. It's $110,000 a year. Here in the UK, it's barely 50,000. I mean, we're doing shit compared with Ireland, but it has been skewed because there's companies that are based in Ireland. This is one of them. I get paid when I get my money put in my bank account at the end of each month from Google, it is from your super chats. Thank you. It comes via Ireland. And so you've got these big companies that are set up in Mississippi or in Louisiana or in these southern states, Georgia, and it makes it look like the GDP is a lot higher than it actually is. Well, no, the GDP is probably right. I'm not saying they're lying about what it is, but it distorts the reality of the lived reality of the people who live there, and you see the poverty in areas of Mississippi, and it looks like a third world country. I know we shouldn't use that term; it should be developing nation, but it just genuinely look like somewhere, a place that I might have travelled through in Africa 15 years ago. That none of the money went there. There's some amazing cities in Africa. Abidjan in Cote d'Ivoire is like, you go there and it's like, bloody, it looks like fucking Melbourne. It's got fucking high rises and skyscrapers, sky scratchers really. But like, you're walking around going, "Am I in Africa? Am I in Africa? Is it me still in Africa?" Then someone gives you some food and it tastes absolutely fucking delicious, and you know that you're in Africa. Listen, everyone I know who's ever gone and done something similar to what I've done and traveled through West Africa, right? They will all say Ghanaian food, mate. Ghanaian. If they've been to Ghana and you say food, their eyes light up. Oh my God, Ghanaian food. I do that with Ethiopian food as well now, because like the food in Ethiopia is just chef's kiss, literally. I got a mug for Christmas. I read that one. The Death of Trump, the script writes itself. Yeah, get Amano Anucci on the phone. Yeah, only because of tech firms. Yeah, Urbane Legends. Yeah. And so when people use these, the right love doing this. They purposefully misinterpret statistics, and they're quite happy to do that. In a former life, someone very close to me worked as a civil servant, working during the last Labour government in the 2000s, and they worked as a statistician for the government, and basically they would give statistics to the ministers, and the ministers would be like, "I want to be able to say this," and they had to say, "You can't say that because it's not actually true." And like, "How can I say this in a way that looks positive?" And they're like, "Well, I'm not going to tell you how to do that. These are the facts. You asked me, you pay me to give you the facts. These are the facts." And they're like, "But can you massage them in some way?" And that was Labour. I mean, the Conservatives are like 100 times fucking worse. You can say about a lot of things, can't you? It can't possibly be worse. Yes, it could be worse. It could be Tories. It could be worse than Tories. It could be refuck. It could be worse than refuck. It could be Tommy Robinson. Liz says, "I'm off today, so I always enjoy when I can participate more in the chat in this wonderful community. I'm usually responding to the audio between toddling my dog and toddling off to the pool." I'm sure your dog is a good boy or a good girl. Billy says, "There's a cracking vid on the net showing the US debt as bricks of $10,000, starting with 100K being poured on a table, then a million, etc. It's AI, but it shows the scale really well." Yeah. Chris says, "Right, I'm going to crack on with some sewing. These heart disease awareness bandanas aren't going to make themselves." Yes, you do that, Chris. If you want to continue listening on YouTube Music, if you've got that downloaded on your phone, you can listen to this as a podcast, which is kind of cool. Ivan. Sorry, not you, Ivan, if you're still watching. Urbane. Get your words out right, Graham. Urbane Legends. Thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Everyone's so stupid these days and don't have the knowledge to push back. Like Singapore on Thames. Okay, will the government own all the housing? No. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what? They have these fucking childish ideas of the world, and it pisses me the fuck off because a lot of these motherfuckers talk very posh. And so when they talk, people genuinely believe what they have to say because they say it with such conviction. The conviction of a fucking idiot. And because they went to private school and they know how to speak properly and they know how to debate, they don't need to know the facts. They don't need to know what the actual statistics are. They don't have to learn that. All they need to learn is how to use this voice to make people think that they know what they're talking about, when most of the time, they do not. Someone like me comes along with a Scouse accent, and people are like, oh, I'm not going to listen to you. You're talking shit. I get this constantly in life, and not just from the private educated elite, but from my peers. Oh, you can't possibly know what you're talking about, Graham. You've got a Scouse accent. And I'm sitting there with this imposter syndrome going, I do have a degree in fucking politics, from a Russell Group university. A good degree. I've also got, the fact that I've traveled so much around the world and seen this stuff for myself. But, don't worry. I've also the fact that I've hosted a politics show for years, pretty much every day, reading the news, reading opinions, reading differing opinions, seeing what's going on. But yeah, I'm sure that I'm not to be trusted because I've got a bit of a Scouse twang in what I say. Isn't that fucking... It's so maddening, and I see it all the time on TV, and I hear it on the radio, where you have this fucking knobhead come in like Patrick Minford, who hasn't got a fucking clue, and they sit down and go, well, the thing is that if you put all this together, then it's obvious that we need to leave the EU in order to fuck everyone to death with their own legs. Painful. Anyway, there's footage on Blue Sky of a physician trying to help Renee Nicole Good, who was unalived by ICE yesterday. Neighbor goes absolutely mental at ICE agents. So unbelievably sad and angering. Yeah, there's a guy saying, I am a physician. Let me go and help. And they're like, get back. She's getting the help. And she died. Renee Nicole Good. Sorry, I didn't have a name before I started the show. I should have. Was that released? While I've been... or a little bit before I started. There's footage on Blue Sky. I've read that. Does anyone know what the French farmers are out on the streets for? Could be anything. It's Jim Beam who have shut down their Kentucky distillery for a year. Yeah. Is that to do with the Canadians boycotting American goods? Minford sounds like a 1900s term for a well-groomed lady garden. I love that. That's brilliant. My North Walian accent's a bit Scouse, and I sound like a used car salesman on recordings. Not like Better Call Saul. My dad has dementia and cancer, which is spreads. He's not in pain, but he keeps having infections and going to hospital. Doctor says it's probably best not to bring him back next time. Trying to process it. Oh, fucking hell. Lee, I'm really, really sorry. Give us a shout. You want someone to talk to who's in a similar fucking boat, mate. Just give us a shout. You got my number. I'm really sorry to hear that. It really fucking sucks. Urbane Legends, thank you very much for another £5 super chat. Thank you. Also, it was Graham Prices who I had a row with after he shat on Croydon, not you. So I apologise for thinking it was. Oh, I've never shit on Croydon. I totally would shit on Croydon. I would totally shit on Croydon just for shit and giggles. I once wrote a pilot episode of a series called This Is Hardcore, set in the dying days of the VHS porn industry in Britain. And it's this kid who's, trapped in this god-awful job of making these pornos, and he fucking hates it. And it's all operated out of a warehouse in Croydon. Sorry, Croydon. Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is in trouble again. Hughes sold a mansion to a Kazakh oligarch connected to a bribery scandal. Fucking hell. That man he's just a fucking waste of space, isn't he? Can't do anything right, useless twat. The Freckle Peony says a Singaporean MP said the Singaporean model wouldn't work in the UK for those expecting public funded services such as the NHS. Yeah. Andy says, I wonder if the governor of the state could get the National Guard out and have them shadow ICE. Well, it's Tim, what's his name? Waltz, is it Tim Waltz? The guy who was on the ticket with Kamala last year. The year before now. Oh my God. Oh well. Every day forward is one less day that Trump is going to be alive. Which is good. But unless he's going to be president. Yeah, Tim Waltz, he's is he a senator? Is he one of the senators? He's spoken out against it. And like say the mayor of Minneapolis basically said Tom to fuck off. Literally used the word fuck. Really, really upset by this. Don't have to make that decision, but I saw the pain my mum had with the cancer at the end, and I don't want my dad to have to go through that. That's completely understandable, Lee. It's completely understandable. Do you reckon Trump is competing with the Kazakh president for craziest leader? He wasn't Kazakh. He was Turkmeni. He was Turkmenistani. So Turkmenistan, which is just this country. It's quite a big country, actually. It's between Iran and Uzbekistan and Afghanistan and Kazakhstan. It has borders with those three countries, and it has a shoreline along the Caspian Sea. And the guy who ran it, Turkmenbashi, I mean, he's just a fucking lunatic. You go there, there's all gold statues everywhere you go. There's a gold statue of this motherfucker. And he's like, like normally statues, generally they're in, military uniform and they look all heroic and they're in a pose, or, they're looking sad because people have died or whatever, it's usually... They don't look like podgy bank managers, put it that way. But Turkmenbashi looked like a podgy bank manager in a suit, and it's just like this tacky gold statue. And there's one word that just sums up the whole of MAGA and Trump and all this shit that they're doing. It's tacky. Tacky. Just the lack of taste is just mind-blowing. It is just like some trailer park trash has found himself into the White House, and already he's demolished half the fucking thing. He's got like a broken bike on the front yard, and a rusting fucking trampoline, and he doesn't give a fuck. And there's litter everywhere. He doesn't give a fuck. Just wants to live in his own fucking squalor, his old gold plated squalor. And he thinks things that Del Boy Trotter would do his flat up with in Nelson Mandela House. That plastic that's been painted gold and then stuck to a wall, and he's like, oh, let's boss that. Oh, Tim Watts is the governor. Oh, he's the governor. Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, Tim Watts has spoken out about it. He gave a press conference last night about it, didn't he? But yeah, big love and hugs, mate, says Diz. Love coming in for Lee. It's very, very difficult what Lee's going through right now, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Waltz just announced he will not run again for the third term. Yeah, that was coming up this year, wasn't it? And he's decided not to do that. Trump wants his stupid face on Mount Rushmore, even though further work could easily shatter the existing monument, a fitting tribute in a way. Yeah, because he just wants to destroy stuff. David Faulkner says, I asked a Labour voter whether he's been listening to Gary Stevenson, and he said, I know he's popular, but his accent puts me off. I said, surely it's what he says and not how he says it. No, David, that's the thing. It's not what you say. It's not what you say. It's how you say it. And these smooth, velvet-tongued motherfuckers, these charismatic charlatans, these fucking con artists that are 10 a penny in the Tory party and in refuck are very, very good at pulling rank through accent. That's one of the reasons why there's a part of me that thinks one day I'll just wake up and just talk posh, because then people will take me more seriously. I'll get more viewers on this site. People will believe what I was saying more than they do with the Scouse accent, because they just think that I'm fundamentally dishonest for having a regional accent. I fundamentally don't know what I'm talking about. And, they'll make this a big thing, like, and then there's people in the chat who are just, not you, but in like comments and stuff, who like, if you make one mistake and you go, oh, well, you said million and you meant billion, you daft twat. And you're like, oh, sorry. But yeah, I don't know if they'll do that to someone who's, well, maybe they would do something to someone who's posh, but yeah. Chancellor says, refuck leader wants to keep children in poverty based on skin colour. Go on, lass. Yeah, they absolutely do. To be fair, Starmer looks like a chubby bank manager, and he has a look of confusion, as if he's been told about IT systems at all times. That's a really good way of putting it, Urbane Legends. He does look a bit confused, doesn't he? Poor lamb. Poor lamb. Yeah. Ridiculous. Yeah, I know. But this is the society in which we live. We have a caste system in this country, and people pretend that we don't even have a class system. We've got a class system and a caste system within the class system. I hope the subtitles can pick the differentiation there in those two words. But yeah, it's broken down into these regional subsections and based on your skin color, where you're from, what part of a city you grew up in. So whereas someone from Liverpool will look down on someone from Manchester because of the old rivalry there, someone from South Liverpool will look down on someone from North Liverpool, which is mind-blowing. Someone from Orwell Park will look down on someone from Walton, which is next door. It is just it's infuriating, but it's just something that humans do. They just go, they're walking along the street and deciding who they want to fuck, who they don't want to fuck, and where they stand in the pecking order of everything. They want to know, where am I? Where am I? Are they above me? Are they below me? It's like that fucking sketch with the two Ronnies and John Cleese. I look down on him because he's middle class, and I look up to him because he's upper class. It's a bit like that, but there should be like 100 people in a row, and yeah, the mentality is something that needs to be talked about. Let's say, because no one talks about it. It just happens. And there's been experiments where they've had an expert in something talking about something, and you've taken them less seriously. Do you remember when the Mars rover was happening, the Beagle 2? Remember that, the British Mars landing, and the guy in charge of it had a really strong West Country accent, or Brummie, was it Brummie or West Country? It was one of them. He had a really strong accent, and people just didn't take him seriously because they just thought he was some crackpot inventor in his fucking shed. Well, actually, he was in charge of a multi-million pounds plan to drop this lander on Mars and have this rover going around, playing Blur music for some reason. In every country, there's a bad area. In every area, there's a bad street. In that street, there's this house. Yeah, Andy. There's back when Paul Merton, I think it was, used to do stand up. He used to have a show where he was surreal, and he had a dolphin in the bath or something. He had a show in the 90s on Channel 4, and I just remember a sketch where he was talking about British people making fun of people from Ireland. Who do you tell jokes about? Oh, you tell jokes about people from Ireland. So he went to Ireland and he said, who do you tell jokes about? He said people from Kerry. So he went to County Kerry and he said, who do you tell jokes about? And they said some particular town in Kerry. And then they say, who do you tell jokes about? And then he said some area, of the town. So he went there. Who do you tell jokes about? And it was like, the street on that town. I was like, who do you tell jokes about? And they're like, there's this family, on the street. Not on the street, but, living in a house on the street. And he goes in, and I think the joke is that he opens the door, and the guy who opens the door to him, he's got like jelly in one ear and cream in the other. And he says, you have to speak up, I'm a trifle deaf, or something like that. It's just like, it was a ridiculous, but yeah, people tell jokes about the others. It's always the others, isn't it? It's always like othering people. And the problem there is, not only does it set in place this unspoken social hierarchy of who we believe. The greatest example of this is Jacob Rees-Mogg. Jacob Rees-Mogg is a fucking idiot. He is he would be held back in high school, right? If he was American, he'd be held back because he's not intelligent at all. He doesn't understand basic concepts. His head is still living in a world that's gone 120 years ago when Queen Victoria fucking died. But because he sounds so posh, people believe what he has to say. He is, as someone else said this, I'm stealing their line here, but it's a good line. He is an idiot's idea of a clever person. But it fucking works. It fucking works because it sounds like he speaks with authority. If you don't believe me on this, get on a plane and tell me how many times you get on a plane and the pilot comes over the intercom and they've got a strong Scouse accent, or a Manc accent, or a Brummie accent, or a Geordie accent. How many times? Or a West Country accent. How many times? Zero? Never? Has that ever happened? How many flights have you taken? And it's always been the very calm, collected BA voice of the pilot. Yeah, because it gives people reassurance, I guess, that the person who's doing that thing knows what they're doing. Anyway, the Geordie accent was found trustworthy, if I remember the study, Andy. Yeah. Got a robot vacuum cleaner for Christmas, and I think he's just tried to mount the Christmas tree. Hey, your Christmas tree should be away now, Lee. Put it away. It's been 12 nights. Mount Rushmore was carved by an immigrant from my country, Denmark. I found it offensive ever since I found out the place is actually sacred to the local Native Americans. Yeah, Benny Larson. And also, a Dane's responsible for the Clitterville Hood building, the Opera House in Sydney, which says nothing about Australia. Just put there by immigrants. It's like people don't see it this way because they see it from the other end of the telescope, don't they? But like, could you imagine if some people came over from, I don't know, fucking Saudi Arabia and decided that Britain's most important monuments that they were going to build, they were going to build a giant Arabic-looking building, build the Alhambra in London, and you'd be like, why are you building the Alhambra? What's that got to do with our culture? Why are you doing? Will people stand for it? Will people like, oh no, that's okay? It's a symbol of the UK now. This building from Saudi Arabia. Maybe it could be like the block, the stone sarcophagus of Muhammad. Maybe they could just make a really, really big version of that and plonk it down in the middle of London, on a helicopter, drop it down on the ground, and go. This is to symbolise Britain all over the world, and then every single postcard and every single little pendant and every single fucking thing that has our country, Australia's name on it, has the Sydney Opera House, a building, the outside of which was designed by a Dane, the inside of it which was designed by a committee, if you can fucking tell, and just fucking whatever, it's an iconic shape. It's an iconic shape. Oh, it's iconic. Yeah, it says nothing about Australia though. I would have got some Aboriginals together and said, make us a building, design us a building. We will build it. We'll pay for it. You design it. Tell us a story. Tell us a story through your architecture. So yeah, not having a go at Denmark today though, because obviously Denmark's under a lot of strain with the disgusting antics of Trump saying that he's going to take over Greenland, which is part of Denmark. It's a semi-autonomous territory of Denmark. And the same way that, we wouldn't be too happy if some other country was saying, we need Gibraltar, we're going to take Gibraltar, we're going to take, if Spain, which has a claim over Gibraltar, said, we're going to do this, we're going to have it, we're going to take it by force if necessary. Imagine if they said that. Imagine if the Argentinians under Milei decided they wanted to have the Falkland Islands. What if France decided they wanted to take the Channel Islands back? They're closer to France than they are to the UK. What if the Samoans want American Samoa back? What then? But there you go. India outside, China inside. Years ago, a couple of historians appeared on BBC 5 Live. One, Brian Sewell, and the other, Carl Shin. Because Sewell had a very posh accent and Shin had a Midlands one, Sewell called him thick. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's just so grim. One of my favourite Monty Python sketches was the Pepper Potts discussing philosophers. Sad that we find it funny. Yeah. Central Park in New York is also the fault of a Danish immigrant. Is it, Benny? Because Central Park in New York was designed by the same person who designed Birkenhead Park in Birkenhead over the water from Liverpool. It's quite cool. I bet they give it to Trump without argument. Yeah, of course they would. The far right couldn't find those places on a map. I don't think a lot of Americans could find it, far right or otherwise. Anyway, listen, I've been rabbiting on for an hour and 42 minutes, at least. Well, at least an hour and 38 minutes. Sorry, it was a bit late getting started, wasn't I? But we're going to finally go over to the papers now. You can take our greens, but not our land. Braveheart Scott tells golf nut Don Trump to skedaddle. Two farmers from the UK's Greenland have warned Donald Trump not to grab their small holdings, obviously because there's a place in Britain called Greenland. How very funny. Sex life as you get older. Got some two old people in bed. Nice. And then we've got Don't Run Down Clock on Safe Route to Die. And shit, sorry. Oh, Confetti just automatically activated. Sorry, I didn't mean to activate that. Listen, if you haven't watched The Traitors, maybe stop watching now if you haven't watched The Traitors and you don't want to know who the secret traitor is, because it does literally tell you on the front cover of The Express, which I just realised. I did warn about this, but that was like an hour ago. Anyway, it's Fiona. Don't run down clock on safe right to die law. Peers must pass assisted dying legislation through the Lords or risk significant harm to its reputation if time runs out. Bill sponsor Lord Faulkner will today ask the Lords to agree to provide further time for debate, including the House potentially starting earlier or sitting later. A group of peers who oppose assisted dying have tabled most of the more than 1,000 proposed changes to the landmark law. They tried to bog it down in bureaucracy to stop it going ahead. And it's a group of 5 of them doing this, by the way. 5 unelected members of our legislature. 5 unelected members appointed get to do this. It's fucking grim. I spoke to a chief archaeologist once. I was shocked. I didn't know they lived in tribes. I don't get it. Oh, chief archaeologist. Okay, very good. If anyone wants to upgrade the RAM on the PC, I'll do it now or wait a couple of years. The price of some I bought last week has more than doubled, and Amazon have said they delivered but not arrived. Yeah, because all of the computer components are going mad at the moment because of the AI bollocks. The designer of the Sydney Opera House has pulled out midway. Woo! But what about the Opera House? Through the construction because they wanted to cut corners on his design. Yeah, Benny, you're absolutely right. That's why I said the outside was designed by a Dane, the inside was designed by a committee. And oh my god, it's fucking disgusting inside. It's concrete. It's like it's like a multi-story car park inside. The building, the acoustics are fucking awful. They've got carpet, like purple carpet, stuck with glue onto concrete walls. It's like, what the fuck is this? What? It's horrible. It's really fucking horrible. But Australians have been told that this is a real great thing that really symbolises Australia. It fucking doesn't. Do you want to symbolise Australia? Fucking boomerang, mate. And didgeridoo. Line paintings. What are they? Aboriginal. Oh, it's in the Opera House and me beer and me Barbie. Come on, please. Everywhere has fucking opera houses. Everywhere has beers. Everywhere has Barbies. We don't want to live anywhere near a democracy. Let's be real. We don't live anywhere near a democracy. Let's be real. We don't have. Yeah, we live near Ireland. We don't have a voice or really matters compared to the ones at the top 1%. We can make life difficult for them, Airbain. Don't forget this. We have the power of sabotage. We have the power of fucking things up, and just not doing the things they want us to do, because okay, we are beholden to them in many ways, right? And they do have this hold over us, which is unfair and unjust. But at the same time, they need to make more money every year, and that is their Achilles heel. If we can fuck them up just enough for them not to turn a profit or as big as a profit the year after, and it doesn't take much to fuck things up to get a 1% deduction in people buying a particular commodity or whatever. Or buying from a certain company, or going into McDonald's or whatever it is. We do have some power, and it's the power of organization and disruption. And that's what we can do. We can fuck things up for these people and make their lives really fucking unpleasant. We can, because they are completely reliant on the companies or whatever making more and more money each year. So we do have some power, and also with Labour in charge, and a lot of us are not happy with Labour at the moment, and that's understandable, but at the same time, they are more responsive, generally speaking, their MPs. I know someone's going to write in the chat, I've written to my Labour MP and they haven't got back to me, but most Labour MPs are pretty fucking responsive, especially when it comes, especially compared with Tories in general. And I know there were responsive Tory MPs as well, but in general, Labour MPs seem to be willing to have a discussion on things more than Tories, who, in my experience, just shut down the conversation. They don't want to hear from you. They do not want to hear from you. You just get like a copy and paste response. I heard the Sydney Opera House designer left because he didn't pull out. Hey, we don't live in the democracy. I've read that one. It was Amazon. I had no issues with any deliveries until now. The delivery suddenly brought 4 by 4 days and couldn't deliver. Then delivered at 10:30. It goes a bit mad, doesn't it, when things come along? I'm glad I bought 48 gigabytes for my desktop nearly a year ago. Benny says, I'm pretty sure there was a park designer who went around trying to bring an element of nature into the cities, Chicago amongst them. Actually, not a bad idea, I think. Yeah, except that New York, I don't like it. I don't like New York. They've said it. I know it's like saying I don't like the fucking Godfather, or don't like any Radiohead album after OK Computer. I understand that this isn't what you're supposed to say, but I don't like New York. I don't find it exciting. I just find it depressing. The grid system just really fucks with my head, because that's not me. I'm not a grid person. There are people who are grid people, and that's fine. Not having a pop at them. People who like Mondrian paintings and etc. Cool. Go with God. But for me, a grid it feels like an affront to nature, because nothing in nature is a grid system. Nothing. It just doesn't exist in nature. And then where they decided that Central Park was going to go was a poor black neighborhood. So they pushed poor black families off the land, and then they built the Central Park there. And I much prefer the idea of having a mixed city. I hate this Sim City, Milton Keynes idea that you have an area that's residential, an area that's industrial, an area that is commercial, and never the train should meet. You have to travel between. You spend half your life in a fucking car or a taxi or a tram or a train commuting around the area. I much prefer the idea of a 15-minute city where I can walk to my amenities within 15 minutes, go to the doctors, go to the dentist, go to the supermarket, go to the pub, go to a club, go to, I much prefer that idea than having this sort of zones. The zone idea fucks me off. Like, this is a residential zone. This is a thing, though. This is. I'm not saying that we should have factories on our doorsteps by any stretch of the imagination, but it is. First of all, I think it's inconvenient, and secondly, I think it's an excuse for NIMBYism because people just aren't used to having these things built, and so the only things that end up getting built are things that are there already. So I don't think you'll be able to build Walton Nick now. It's just that it was built hundreds. It was built a long time ago, and therefore it's fine. That's in the middle of a very, very residential area of Liverpool. But could you imagine now if you said, you see that playing field over there? We're going to turn that into a high security prison. It just wouldn't happen. Just wouldn't happen. Paying taxes is providing financial material support for a terrorist regime at this stage and is such a criminal offence, says Huffman. I disagree, really, because a lot of the money that we pay in tax goes towards health, goes towards the NHS. And no matter what your opinions on any particular government, I do not want to live in a country where if you can't afford to not live in crippling pain, you just live in crippling pain. I don't want to live in that society, one without healthcare, one without social care, one without looking after people who are incapacitated for whatever reason. A lot of our taxes go on pensions. It goes on, it goes on social goods, but also a lot of it goes on maintenance of infrastructure. And it's what the right don't want to do. They don't want to spend any money on infrastructure. Well, bridges and tunnels and viaducts and things in America are all fucking falling apart. They all need to be restored because they were built in the 60s and built out of slop and shit, and they're all falling apart. And they don't want to spend any money. They don't want to spend any money on the people. They don't want to spend any money at all. So yeah, I really, really disagree with that comment about the idea that we shouldn't pay tax. I think we should pay tax, and I think the rich should pay the most tax, because the only people really nodding along to that concept of not paying tax are the filthy fucking rich, and it's difficult enough to get anything out of those motherfuckers. I mean, a front page story on one of the newspapers because there's an old gran living in a 5-bedroomed house which is worth millions, and she's living there on her own in London somewhere, in Knightsbridge or something. And she's living there on her own. She's like 81 years old. And she's like, oh, I'm going to have to pay an extra $2,000 a year on my council tax. I'm like, you're living in a fucking £4 million mansion. What are you talking about? Oh, but I can't afford an extra $2,000. You can't afford an extra. Tell you what, get a smaller fucking house. You have to pay the $2,000. You'll have loads of money. How long do you think you got left? I mean, what are you saving for? Fucking sell the house and have a good time. Go on a cruise. I don't care. But yeah, the VAT on private schools, people going nuts about that when they don't even go to private school. They don't have kids who go to private school. These posh bastards saying, "Oh, it's the politics of envy. It's the politics of envy. It's the politics of envy." Oh no, fuck off. Pay your fucking VAT. If a posh rich person spends $30,000 a year building things in their back fucking yard, I say yard, I mean estate. They have to pay for everything. They have to put VAT on everything. They have to pay VAT for all the people working on that. For all the actual bricks and the mortar and the windows and the wood and everything else that needs to be bought. They pay VAT on it. But if they spend £30,000 on putting little Tarquin in one of those little cunt farms where they grow up to obviously get a job in TV, that doesn't have VAT. What's a better investment? What is a better investment? Where's your bang for your buck? Oh, no, it's a charity. A fucking charity. It's fucking private schools saying they're fucking charities. Fuck off. Why do billionaires need charities? Fucking subsidies those schools get is just abhorrent, absolutely abhorrent. Yeah, but anyway, so there's that. There's the horror that was met by the idea that wealthy landowners should have to their descendants, their crotch spawn, should have to pay inheritance tax once they pop their clogs, because there's a tax loophole where it says if you own land, your kids don't have to pay this. But everyone else does. Everyone else has to pay it over a certain rate, except for you, aren't you, Magic? And they brought it in, and it was only 20%. For the rest of us, it's 40% over a certain threshold. And the threshold for them was $1 million. And they've put it up now. It's only going to affect like 12% of farmers or something. But the backlash against it was just phenomenal. You had 2 tractor protests in London. You had front covers of newspapers every fucking day. It's how hard it is to get tax money out of the rich. They do not want to spend any money. And so the narrative of taxes theft is not really helpful to those of us who absolutely rely on the NHS to stay alive. If it wasn't for the NHS, a lot of us wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be watching this. I might not be presenting it if it wasn't for the NHS. Billionaires have charities as a tax dodge. Yeah. Have you heard about the LGB Alliance have been taken to court by the Good Law Project, is it? That should be interesting. I agree with Brian Cox. Which Cox? Which one? Which one? The D-Ream one or the dreamy one? Sorry. The actor or the physicist and keyboard player. Professor Cox says travel is... Oh, sorry. Hello from 16 minutes in the future, and Professor Cox says time travel is not possible. Okay, so that one. Casey Jones, steaming and a rolling, indeed. Cap at 10 million, 100% inheritance tax after that, says Urban Legends. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. And they can pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Anyway, so let's quickly go through the papers. We've got 4 minutes left of the show. SMA heel prick campaign. And Singer tells the checks that could have helped twins. We join calls for Jesse tests. Now, this is Jesse Nelson, who's a pop star, whose kids have this spinal muscular atrophy, which means that they may never walk. And that if this is diagnosed early enough, I think there's something that can be done. But yeah, it was left too late for these poor kids. Jessie Buckley, the star of 2026. There she is with the Critics' Choice Award. I think she's going to win a lot of things for the movie Hamnet, which comes out tomorrow, which I do recommend. But can I just say, like, you might want to wait till it comes out on the TV and just watch it, curled up on the couch with a box of tissues. UK joins in the pursuit of Putin's shadow fleet. British spy planes and a Royal Navy support ship help US forces seize blockade-breaking oil tanker. We've also got crime spree of Met Police let through on diversity. A diversity panel at Britain's biggest police force overturned vetting refusals, which led to rogue officers and staff committing rapes, assault, and drug offences. A review has found. So this is the blaming the horrific shit that has gone on with the Met Police on a push for diversity, when actually no, it's the vile, endemic, institutionalized misogyny, racism, and homophobia at the heart of the Met. This sprawling institution, which I think is too big. I think it should be split up into 26 different forces. But what do I know? What the fuck do I know? Anyway, let's move on. 12 Days of Christmas did to my body and face. We've got this before and after. Okay, good. We need to be on fat jabs for life. Oxford studies show patients coming off the drugs pile on pounds within 2 years. Let's talk about this for a moment. I don't want any jab shaming. I don't want any fat shaming. Because of the way that humans are, because hunger is painful and people have different rates of metabolism. For instance, my partner can eat fucking shitloads and she doesn't seem to put on any weight whatsoever. And I know people who eat very, very little and put on weight very quickly. I think we all do. And if people need to be on jabs for life, then so be it. But don't forget, there is this thing of your body finds its equilibrium. So if you lose a lot of weight really fast, you're very likely to put that weight back on. Very, very likely, because there is a point at which your body is happy, it feels right. And you've got to be at that point for a long time. So dieting overnight, losing loads of weight in a month or something, it's probably going to come back. Whereas if you pace yourself and make sure that you lose weight very, very, very slowly over a long period of time and keep on going, running, going to the gym, eating healthy, it's a prolonged thing. Now, if Majuro helps and other fat jabs help with that, great. Go with God. Fucking use them, and we shouldn't shame people for doing that. I just find it mad that we have this sniffy attitude towards people trying to lose weight, as if people being overweight is always their fault. It often isn't. And also we have the sniffy attitude towards medicine when it comes to mental health, in a way that we don't when it comes to, I don't know, diabetes. You wouldn't say to someone, oh, you don't need that insulin. You don't want to be stuck on that insulin for the rest of your life, do you? It's a medicine. You don't want to be stuck on that insulin. We don't jab shame them. So if you are overweight and you have potential to be overweight and you need to be on fat jabs for the rest of your life, I think we need to have a bit of understanding and go, okay, cool, and not be like, oh, that's a moral disgrace. Why didn't you learn some self-discipline? Self-discipline. It just doesn't work like that. Again, coming back full circle to the idiocracy that Americans tend themselves into, it's a flight from complexity. Things aren't that simple. And something that works for one person might not work for another. Something that didn't work for one person might work for another person. Not everyone is you. Get over yourself, okay? And if something works for a person, they're not hurting anybody else, and it's making them healthier and happier and to live longer and to live in less pain and discomfort, then go with God. Fucking do it. Absolutely. We've got US seizes Russian flagged tanker in high stakes Atlantic operation. I mean, this ain't Russian flagged. I mean, it was only Russian flagged for 5 minutes. It was under a false flag attack of Guyana. And then they swapped it. They swapped it out in mid. They changed the name of the ship and they changed the flag, just like in Lord of War. God, that film was prescient. Sorry, spoilers. I can vouch for this fat jab thing. After I recovered from anorexia, my weight piled on, and I started on the jab as a safe control way to go with my GP. But they were stopped, and I gained weight back plus. Yeah, Sarah. So if you need to be on it and also, I mean, this is like CBT. We were talking about cognitive behavioral therapy, weren't we, the other day? And you only get 6 fucking sessions. What the fuck? People might need it for life. People might need once a month to go and have a session of CBT. And that's fine. We should stop thinking that with these chronic problems that people have, we need to stop thinking of them as something that you could just cure within a month. Oh, you've lost the weight now. Oh, you're no longer suicidal, or you're no longer acting out because of your particular mental health problem, issue that you have. We've got to stop. We've got to stop that. And then people just go back. People just go, it's like when people are drug addicted and they go to the Priory and then they get out and then they're rich. And then they come and then they start taking drugs again. And it's a prolonged thing. It's a prolonged period that you have to be able to keep that up. And people need to have the help and be given the help that they need to help them just get through this, and to a point where, yeah, maybe they might not need it anymore in a couple of years' time. But to say we're only going to give you this for 3 months, I think is cruel and weird. And we do this all the time, especially about mental health. Oh, you don't want to be on Prozac. You don't want to be on this, this medicine that fucking helps you. Why not? What's the problem? It's like imagine someone said, "Oh, you've had all the sex now. That's fine. You've had enough. Stop now." What? But I like it. Yeah, but I mean, you don't need it, so we're going to stop you on that one. But it's not doing me any harm. Yeah, but you can only do it for a few months, then you got to stop for the rest of your life, because otherwise people will see you as I don't know, weak or something. I don't know. It pisses me off, the attitude of people who would never say something about a physical health issue when it comes to a mental health issue. And don't forget, a lot of people who suffer with weight gain and loss to a dangerous extent, it is a mental health issue at the end of the day. Their body's not helping, but it is something that needs to be worked through, and they need help with it. Being hungry is fucking painful, and some people can go through the whole day and not feel a pang of hunger, whereas others can't go 5 minutes without feeling a pang of hunger, and they have to, help themselves not feel that way. They have to do what they need to do. In the same way that if you have a headache, you take a headache pill. If your body is screaming at you to fucking eat, you're going to eat because it's painful not to. It's discomfort. It's like, I can't concentrate. I can't do anything. I can't function as a human being because I'm too fucking hungry, which isn't a great way to be. Also, we've got other social factors in this as well. Poverty being a massive one. The fact that people have so little money these days, so little left over at the end of the month. People having to make the decisions to buy food that is not good for them. It's got too much sugar. It's got too much salt. It's got too much fat in it. It's got too much cholesterol. It's driving up their cholesterol, I should say. And if you do not have the choice, and you cannot afford to, the money to get the vegetables that you need to make yourself a nice salad or a veg-based curry or something, you don't have the spices, you don't have the cooking utensils, you don't have any of that stuff. You got a microwave. You got a microwave. What can you put in the microwave? Fucking TV dinner. In it goes. Do you have the money for anything else? No. So yeah, and these people who are like, well, I can do it. These fucking posh twats who go, I go out, I buy some kale, and I have a. It's like that. They don't live in the real world. Those people. Plus, like the girl from the song, they can always call their dad and stop it all. They've got the money if they want to have a fucking massive meal at the Ritz. They can fucking afford it. Eat some fucking roast suckling pig and caviar and swans and whatever the fuck else rich people eat. They've got the money for it. Who's going to stop him? Who's going to stop him, mate? On that mental health issue, Graham, do you still keep seeing that badger out the corner of your eye? What badger? There's no badger. To me, food is punishment. I used to punish myself by starving myself to the point where I was one blood test away from being put in hospital, and then I'll eat to comfort myself when my mental health is bad. Yeah, and getting yourself into a place, Sarah, where you can have a healthy relationship with food and not see it as punishment, not see it as something that you should be ashamed of eating, or you should feel like you have to do this because it's the only way to help you out of a particular mental state, is really, really important. And if Majuro helps with that, fucking brilliant. Get back on it if you can. And I genuinely, if it makes people happier, healthier, live longer, use less stuff. Here's another thing, like we are consumers. God, we fucking consume. But I guess if you're not eating so much, you're not consuming so much, and therefore you're not damaging the environment so much. I think. I'm not having a go at big people by saying you're the worst people for the environment. We know it's all the oil companies and stuff, but at the same time, farming does produce a lot of CO2 gases, greenhouse gases, not just CO2, in fact, methane as well. And that is something that needs to be sort of addressed and looked at. And yeah, talking about food, talking about the health of the nation. And at the end of the day, I would like to see big changes in the way that we in the way that we eat, in the process of eating, and what's available and what incentives there are to eat healthy. Because at the moment, you go in for a health test at the GP and they say, "Oh, your cholesterol's a bit high. Maybe you want to go to the gym." And it's just so vague. It should be your cholesterol's high, mate. So what we're going to do, we're going to give you a voucher for 2 months free at the gym of your choice, down the road, or give a selection. We're going to give you that, and also we're going to give you a voucher. So each week you can go to Lidl and get yourself a bowl of fruit or a bowl of vegetables for nothing. Once a week for the next few weeks. So you're getting that vegetables, you're getting the taste of vegetables, you're getting the taste of fruit. You might find something that you like, or you might have papaya, which tastes like wet fart. I don't know why papaya is a thing. I don't know why anyone eats papaya. I don't know if it's just the way that my mouth reacts to it, but papaya is truly the Brussels sprouts of fruit. But you might find something you like. You might find something a fruit that you've not had, or something that you might rediscover in your old age and go, oh fucking hell, Forgot how much I like these bananas. I'm hungry last night because I had Merlot last night. I'm hungry now, sorry, because I had Merlot last night, says Andy. Martin says, I can't lose weight. Went 2 weeks barely eating anything. And what I did eat was veggie soup. Stayed 85 kilograms, which, according to the overweight nurse, is 10 kilograms too much. I'm heavier than that, Martin. I'm heavier than that. I think I'm 86 or 87. So yeah, my doctor keeps telling me to eat more salt. Benny, it's actually frustrating. Imagine having doctor's orders to eat more salty snacks and drink more soda. It's not nearly as 4 minutes of application. Yeah. And Happy Enough says, I lost 35 pounds in the last 4 months. Quit eating sugar and everything with glyphosate wheat. No more processed food. Eating nothing but meat, eggs, and green veggies like cucumbers and zucchini. Brilliant. And Happy Enough, I'm glad that works for you. Again, we need to bear in mind that where some people need more salt, some people need less salt. Oh my God, Graham. First thing I've ever disagreed with you about. Papaya is great. Had the best papaya in India 2 weeks gone. Yum. Oh, SG, no. I hate papaya. Oh, God. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's like, I've just got this horrific memory of being in Panama and getting a fruit salad. And it coming with melon, which is great. And pineapple, which is great. A fucking papaya. And I was like, what's this? Oh! I've eaten some fucked up shit in my time. Gee, and yeah, I think I'll put papaya on that list. Durian fruit. That fucking stinks, that stuff. I've never tried it. Gooseberry put hairs on your chest. Ooh. An issue that rich snobs ignore when moaning about poor people not cooking is being able to safely use the kitchen due to an alcoholic or abusive partner or parent. Yeah, Flip, that's a really good point. Being able to safely cook. People can't. Happy Enough says, I eat fermented veggies, big jar of pickles, eat one, and hunger pain vanishes. Oh, cool. Papaya, if overripe, tastes like stagnant water. See, Dizzy Dizzle, I'm with you. Stagnant water, yes. I like papaya, but goodness, it loathes me like lentils. Catastrophic, says Fat Spicer. I love where these conversations go in the morning. It's brilliant. We start talking about Donald Trump's preparations for the 250th anniversary of America, and now we're talking about how disgusting papaya is. Where are we going to go? Who knows? Who knows? We should really get on to the news here. Back to the newspaper. So Reeves criticised Farage for benefit cap division. She's right about that. Serial rapists keep Met jobs after vetting failure. That is a problem. It's not a problem of wokeness. It's not because they're too woke. It's a vetting failure because they took people on without checking their social media or the history of if they've had any history of abuse, and they allowed them to become police officers. There is an unfortunate picture coming up, so sorry, I will try and cover his face as soon as I can. Come on, move it. Jesus Christ. Let's just put that over there. There you go. That's Lila Cunningham, who's running as mayor. Badenoch blueprint to save our pubs. Tories vow to cut bills and scrap taxes as MPs and celebrities back Telegraph campaign. I don't think that. I genuinely do not believe that some pubs deserve saving. I'm sorry. I've got friends who own pubs who, you know what, I know they're struggling, and so I don't want to sound too glib about this, but if there is an argument to be made for keeping a pub as a hub for the community, I think that should definitely be made, especially in villages and in out in the sticks. But when it comes to Weatherspoons, I don't want my tax money going to Weatherspoons. I really don't want my tax money going to a multi-billionaire like Tim Martin, who is a Brexiter and a gobshite. I just don't. I just fucking don't. British forces help Trump seize oil tanker is written down there. We've got Met Police hired black child rapist to boost diversity credentials. No, they did not. It wasn't to boost. God, I fucking hate the Telegraph. What a fucking rag. What a fucking rag this is. I just... No, that's not why it happened. It happened because the vetting was bad. Do you think if the vetting was working and they knew that this fucking gobshite was a paedophile, they would have given him a job in the Met because of to meet a diversity quota? Do you really think anyone's that fucking stupid or bereft of any kind of morality? No, there was no vetting done. They didn't know he was a serial abuser of children because they didn't fucking vet him properly. There's a problem with vetting, not with diversity, but the way that the newspapers frame it, because they want to fuck you up in your brain and make you think that affirmative action or diversity is a bad thing, which isn't even, it's not even a fucking thing in this country. We don't really have affirmative action in the way that it was in some states in America. Even there, it's not a thing anymore. In fact, generally speaking, if you are of an ethnic minority, if you've got African heritage, got Asian heritage, it can be much more difficult to get into a field. So if someone is of that ethnic origin, or you're a woman even, and you manage to get a job as a plane pilot, you're probably going to be better than 99% of the white male plane pilots because you've had to fight harder to get to that point than they did. Yes, Bane. Trump didn't even get to address the chamber. MAGA Mike shouldn't be allowed to soil the building with the shit that comes out of his mouth. MAGA Mike. There was a thing on the TV the other day, says Andy. Some character was mostly eating pot noodles. That must have been a hell of a lot of salt. Yeah, crying into a cold pot noodle. I should stop chatting. My English is getting more and more faulty towers by the hour. I don't like melon either. Really sweet and mushy, messy. Oh, I do like melon though. I do like melon. Not vetting is a feature, not a feature, not a bug. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Danny. And there's other stories in the Telegraph. I'm not gonna go into it because it fucks me off so much that they're also framing this story about. What is it? Let me have a look. They're also framing this story about the Maccabee ban. You know, the Tel Aviv football club that got the supporters got banned from Birmingham because they might cause trouble, and then they made out like the usual suspects made out that this was anti-Semitism when it was not, because the same fans had been banned from a match in Israel. But yeah. Anyway, so next up we've got the Financial Times, a sensible paper. Oh, it's still got our frog Farage on it. Let's get rid of him. Sorry, I'm just doing something here. Right, okay. US seizes tanker and aims to control Venezuela crude sales indefinitely. Trump bets on reshaping oil markets. Authority of OPEC Plus challenged. Russia tensions mount. Ministers slash estimate of workers' rights bill cost. The government has cut back its estimates of the cost to business of reforms in its flagship legislation to $1 billion, saying it now believes it's highly unlikely that the previous worst case scenario of a $5 billion hit will materialize. Beijing probes Meta deal. Officials have begun reviewing the social media group's purchase of Manus for possible technology export of control breaches in a rare case of a US group buying a Chinese startup. We've got Carillion fines accepted. Two former finance directors have dropped challenges to fines by the city watchdog for failing to alert investors to the board and the board to issues that triggered the demise of the outsourcing group Carillion, which is that one of the reasons why Liverpool's new hospital took so fucking long to build, because it was under the auspices of Carillion, which took loads of money from the taxpayer, overpromised and underperformed, and then went bump, and the people who were running it, none of them went to jail. Warner Brothers have rejected another hostile takeover bid by Paramount. Abu Dhabi caught Farage, I hope that was saying put him in court. The Emirate paid for Nigel Farage to travel to the UAE in December to attend meetings with senior officials, underscoring growing interest in the right-wing populist reform UK leader. Yep, that's what they want to build. If you like Saudi Arabia, if you want Sharia law, vote for Nigel Farage. And let's spell it Faraj in future. Now, you might think, Graham, that's a bit harsh, and why are you doing that? But we need to find ways to cut through to the fucking morons who vote for Farage. So point out what he's doing. Point out when he does deals with the Saudis, does deals with the Emiratis. Point it the fuck out. Kent. Oh, wow. Kent has joined the channel. Thank you very much, Kent. You can join the channel if you want. If you hit the little join button down there. Kent has joined. Is now a superstar. Welcome, welcome, Kent. 9648. Cool. Thank you so much. So what was I going to talk about then? Oh, yeah. Don't be racist. Don't be anti-Semitic. Don't be Islamophobic. Just point out to some people that Farage and his mate, Richard Tice, who lives in Dubai, a place where they do have Sharia law, and he loves it. He loves it. He goes on about how much he loves it. And the plumber guy, Terry Timms, the plumber guy, he lives in Dubai. He goes on about how great it is under Sharia law. Tell us how great it is under Sharia law, where all the food is halal. Is that what you want? Then vote for Nigel Farage. Any Russian Navy after action report is comedy gold. Yes, that's true. And also, some are claiming it was from Iran. Something's off. What's that? Najib Farage. No, I think it should be Faraj. Faraj. And that's what we should call him. And if you get like pictures of him, I shouldn't say this, but you could. Have you ever seen the movie Lawrence of Arabia? Yeah, Alec Guinness. Yeah, because you know what, the supporters of him fucking hate that. They would hate it so much. It would really fuck with them. It would fuck with them so much. Trust me on this. You've got to go. Look, it's all very well being all like nice, proper, decent. But when your enemy is down in the fucking gutter, right, doing all this shit like Nigel Farage is doing, because he wants to bring MAGA here. That's what he wants to do. And we need to stop him. And if that means I've got to get down in the gutter with him and give out leaflets where he's been altered digitally and to make a point, I might just fucking do it, I might just fucking do it. And I'm not a politician. I don't know if you can put me in jail for it. I might fall out with some of my Muslim friends, but is it a price I'm willing to pay to stop Nigel Farage from actually becoming the leader of this country? It might well be. And maybe my Muslim friends will possibly agree with me on that, because a country under him is going to be absolutely fucking horrible. It is. It's just going to be fucking horrible. The Italians, the Meloni is overhauling the voting system in Italy to increase the prospects for her right-wing coalition. Great. Eurozone inflation falls, and the data show fall to 2% inflation in the Eurozone, which is doing much better than the pound at the moment. And then we've got the AI will do housework. No, it won't. And then we've got Sheffield Gun Factory aims to restore Steel City spirit. Sheffield has struggled since industrial collapse in the 80s, but parts of BAE Systems M777 howitzer will soon be made in a place where steelworks once stood with output bound for Ukraine. So that's quite, kind of a very, very terrible good news story. A terrible good news story. Octopus's flair for camouflage inspires synthetic skin that can disguise robots. Scientists have unveiled a synthetic skin inspired by octopus's camouflage, capable of changing color and texture, opening up potential uses from robotics to display technologies. Well, isn't OLED from organic fucking stuff, isn't it? I think. I don't know. We've also got some more papers here. I forget this advert for fucking markets or something. Keir Starmer, what Isla 9 taught me about poverty, and I feel a bit of guilt and shame on crime as entertainment. I'm not really down with that. I know some people enjoy it, but I don't. Hang on. Sorry, I didn't realise because I didn't look at the other picture, but we do have a Trump. We do have a Trump there, so we need to do something about this. Let's do something about the Trump here. There we go. That over his face. There you go. Trump's face in butter. It makes it look like he's on the ship there. Splash and grab, says the Metro. Meanwhile, the Eye is saying UK ready to seize more of Putin's shadow ships as Grey War grows. Grey War? Is that what they're going to call it? The Grey War. When it all starts going like tits up for older people because the younger people are like pissed off that all the older people have got all the money and the resources and the wealth and the power and the gold and the big houses and all the money and all the money and all the money and all the food and all the drink and all the swans and all the caviar and all the roast suckling pigs and all the big buildings and all the helicopters and all the planes and all the yachts and all the money and all the money and all the money. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's what they'll call it, the Grey War. Do you remember the Grey War? Didn't last very long. Anyway, moving on. That's it. We're gonna leave it at that. Brilliant. Okay, cool. We've got. Have you had a chunk testing out or something? Says Andy. No. Glitch like Mitch. The MAGA does. Hijab, for fuck's sake, spell check. Islam actually only forbids palm wine because Muhammad's got a bad hangover off it. Yeah, I mean, it's the interpretation, isn't it? Peter O'Toole. Farage will make smokes and beer his version of halal, possibly. I mean, smokes are not looked down upon in the Middle East at all. I mean, lots of people smoke, and a lot of people smoke shisha, the hubbly bubbly, shisha. Sorry, not shisha. Seashells on the seashore. Like Prosper, the Freedom City for billionaires. Yeah. I would not like to live anywhere near there. Lee says, AI is shit. I've been using it a lot recently. I spend more time dealing with its mistakes and bad replies if I'd done it myself in the first place. It's had its uses, but it's a long way off. Can I tell you? I want to share this with you. Okay? So each day I will put in a couple of things that I want to talk about for the show. And then what I'll usually do is take a couple of articles that give me the background of what I'm talking about. So in this case, this morning I got up and I read about these 250th anniversary stuff for Trump. Also, I read about what happened in Minnesota. And I thought, okay, well, I want to tell a story about where America's going to be. What kind of America do MAGA want to see in 15 years' time? A vile mashup of Gilead, idiocracy in North Korea, because that's the way it seems to be heading. So, I was saying I want this sort of, this idea of integrating it, right? So then it comes in and it's like it gives me the blurb for the YouTube, which I asked for, and it gives me the tags. You can be asked doing tags, and then I asked for an episode plan. And what it does is I have to fight it for this all the fucking time. It gives me like a section with bulleted. I can show it to you. It's like so number 7, Gilead, idiocracy, North Korea. It's not a joke. It's a trajectory, but it's got written things like explain why the comparison isn't hyperbole but a warning. And I'm like, I don't want it in a passive voice. I don't want you, or an active. I don't want you telling me what to do. I just want the facts, right? So I said, don't tell me what to do. Just list me the facts. I'll take it from there. And then it gives me the facts, but the whole thing is just about, and it gives me like 1,000 words, and it's all about what happened in Minnesota, right? With nothing about what I was saying about idiocracy and Gilead from The Handmaid's Tale and North Korea, right? No, I meant to integrate what happened last night into the fact America is becoming Gilead, North Korea, and idiocracy rolled into one. What America do MAGA want to build? What will it look like in 15 years' time if they get their way? So, it says, got it, integrated facts, grounded in documented trends and stated policies, no instructions, no rhetoric coaching. And then it starts giving me the what last night fits into. And it gives me this thing like authoritarian enforcement. And I put stop. I stopped it because you press the button to stop it when it's printing out bollocks. And I put stop. I don't know what's wrong with you this morning. I want to start the show with what happened last night and then use that as a framing device to talk about America's future. Do I need to start again? And it goes, no, I understand now. And it gives me what I wanted, which is just a headline. And then short bullet points. I don't need I don't want to read off an auto cue. I don't need that. I just want to know, I need to mention this point. I need to mention this point. Don't forget to mention this point. It's an aid memoir. It's notes. It's all I fucking want. And then, I said, you need to, it didn't integrate the article that I shared about the celebrations for the 250th anniversary. So again, I'm like, this is why I was late this morning. This is why I was late getting started. I was arguing ChatGPT. I said, here's what I want you to talk about. Here are the things. Here's a couple of articles to give you a bit more context. I know that AI doesn't understand context, but it didn't do that. And then it gave me what America is becoming, and to which I replied, because it fucked it up again. Like it gave me these what happened last night, with details why this works as a lens in America's direction, immigration enforcement as a template, but it just wasn't giving me what I wanted. And I didn't know how to explain it in a way that I fucking understood. So I said, oh, for fuck's sake, do it properly, all in caps. Say what happened last night, talk about what's happening for the 250th, postulate on the future direction of the US, Gilead, North Korea. Fucking, I'm writing this again. This whole process took me fucking longer than it would have taken me to just look at the articles that I was referring to. Do you know, like maybe copy and pasting them into a document and just highlighting or bolding bits that I wanted to point out, and I could just scroll it down and just read out the bits that I wanted to read out. Then for that part, it said, it gave me 3.5 sections with about 4 or 5 bullet points in each. And I wrote, that's way too short. You are doing my fucking head in. At which point it went, oh, sorry, and started writing a fucking essay. An essay. It's written a fucking... Last night in Minneapolis, and there was not a border incident, nor a raid on armed conflict on criminals, not a counter-terrorism operation in any meaningful sense. It was a federal immigration action conducted in a residential neighborhood. When did they say? When did they say I didn't want bullet points? I just want bullet points. I put stop as bulleted lists. Are you taking the piss? And then finally, after bloody fucking, 7 times of asking, it gave me 3 sections. 1, what happened last night. 2, what's happening for America's 250th anniversary. 3, the future direction if MAGA get their way. Finally, broken down into sections, cruel, godless, North Korea, idiocracy, and some points underneath. It took that fucking long, probably about half an hour, that took. I mean, it does this every day. Like, this is not something that I just, out the blue, say, oh, can you do the blurb? Can you help me with the notes for Morning Brew? I do this every day. And normally, it just goes, yeah, you go, spits it out. But occasionally, it just has a mad morning where it forgets everything it's done in the past, forgets all kind of context, and then just doesn't get it. And it reminds me of that episode of Red Dwarf, I think season 3, where Rimmer's talking about the scutters, which are the things that go around the little K9 looking things that go around the ship doing stuff, right? And he says they're an idiot. You tell them to watch the oven, and they just sit there watching your food burn. And I'm like, this is what AI is. It's fucking shit. It's so infuriating, and I'm not the only one who is just going, what even is this? What? It's not even doing the simplest of things. And I'm going to go on forever about the fact that I asked it to list the elements that have 6 letters in, and it gave me argon and neon and xenon and Uranus. Lee Korn, absolutely sure. It's okay for basic stuff, but once you try and get anything complex, it keeps missing stuff out and then spends ages apologizing and explaining why you got it wrong. Yeah, that's exactly my experience this morning, which I've taken you into in depth. I think probably a bit too much depth. I didn't quite realize how much arguing I had to give it this morning to get it to do what I fucking wanted it to do. I think I was pretty fucking clear from the start. I want 3 sections. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the future. Just a needy meat sack. Yep, Hoffman. We've all been there. Happy enough says spirit equals soul equals I died as a human out of disgust and general Asculia of this Somali nation jumped out my body on July the 4th in a near miracle on the Guadalupe on this retribution hurricane born. Cool. Did you get AI to write that? Andy says, I've seen a few things on interwebs articles purporting to be from people, but they have a really familiar style. Yeah. AI has one style and it's shit. It's really fucking shit. No one's going to read an AI book because it's shit. It's just, it's a pale imitation. It's a pale imitation. Like if I had someone working for me and I said, I want this, this, and this. Here are the articles. Make this list. They'll fucking go and do it. It'll take them longer, but they'll do it right first time. Whereas AI just seems to be pissing in the fucking in the dark. Graham has become Basil Fawlty dealing with Manuel. Yes, only slightly more sweary than John Cleese. Anyway, perhaps we should change it to AM, artificial manual. It's not intelligent. That's for sure, Andy. It's not intelligent. A brilliant tool like AI, and it's used for entertainment. Ugh. Well, I mean, honestly, Sora needs to be shut down. It's just a waste. It's just a waste of energy. Like all the water and all the power that you're using for AI and in these big data centers, just polluting the fucking world for what? For a shit video. For a shit fucking video that looks like fucking garbage. I reckon the BBC News has been GPT for ages. Yeah. Don't they have to release the beta versions being a learning model? They need the money now, but it's not ready. Yeah, it does seem a little bit half-formed. The problem I have with AI is when it tries to predict what I'm going to type into VS Code, that's a programmer's editor. I know what I want to write, but I haven't found a way to turn the bugger off. Yeah. New show suggestions. Graham's grumbles. Well, DJ Marcy Moo, I'll just let you know now, if you weren't watching The Rabbit Hole last week, we've decided that next week we are doing a Room 101 with me. So I'm going to be throwing a few things, 7 things into Room 101. And yeah, we'll be discussing it. So yeah, it will be Graham's grumble. It really will be Graham's grumbles. So, oh, I dropped my phone out my pocket. That's not good. Sorry. Didn't break. The AI bubble will burst because people aren't using AI for anything good, just slop. Yeah. Grinding Graham's Gears. Oh, I like that, Andy. That's a great name. Grinding Graham's Gears. Really grinds my gears. Didn't Peter from Family Guy have a show called Grinds My Gears or something? And he just moaned about stuff. Yeah, that's kind of what I do, isn't it? Anyway, listen, I'm going to get going now because it is nearly fucking 12 o'clock. Jesus Christ. And I've been whittering on far too long this morning. I will try and do a show tonight. Nothing has been set in stone, but, if you would give us a like on the way out, but also if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you are subscribed, you haven't hit the bell notification icon, hit the bell. And if I do a show tonight, possibly from 6 till 7, you will get a notification to say I'm going to go live in an hour or 2 hours or whatever it is. Okay, so you do that for me and I'll do that for you. Yeah, I'll try. Okay, if I don't, then I don't. It's just, one of those things. But if I do, great. If I don't, I will definitely see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock for Morning Brew. Don't forget, we've also got the agenda at 1 with Phil Morehouse. And then at 9:30 in the evening, we are going to kick back, open a few brews for the Friday night social. There's a lot to discuss. Oh my giddy aunt, there's a lot to discuss this week. Okay, so until next time, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and thanks for the super chats. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks for all the lovely comments. Great discussion. If you would like to continue the discussion, head over to the Politics Social Discord server, which is open to any members of the channel. And until I see you again, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.